Rachel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. Do you want to keep going on Rachel's stick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Andy, Brad. Oh, I lost you there. Yeah, this is Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, stick 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, stick 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, stick 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, stick 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, stick 2. Stick 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 2, 2, 2. Not particularly. What, on 1? Which might you talking about? 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is stick 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. Stick 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, stick 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 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, stick 1.
We're going to do the permanent telestrator scenario.
Cool.
So it will be Alex, but he probably won't be in from the top.
Okay. Cool.
And then we've got Mike, Brandon, Rich. Camera left, Mike.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're doing your checks.
Right.
Carry on. Mike, Brandon, Rich.
I'll check stick 1. No, we changed some. We put some of them to 6, didn't we? So, yeah, Rachel's is 18. Yeah, this is Rachel. Sorry. Rachel stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's stick. I'm just going to have a listen to IFB 3. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Rachel's is now -12. Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's mic. Stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 1, stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is smashing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's quite hot on the IEMs and the sends. Okay. Do you want to go back to neg 18?
These are all -6.
Are they? Okay. Yep, sure. So that's neg 18 now. Neg 18 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is Rachel's stick, Rachel's stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 1, stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stick 1, stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stick 1, stick 1, stick 1. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Eric. Do you reckon you could just listen to Spencer's IM for me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is that Spencer's? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Talking on stick 2, stick 2, stick 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is stick 2, stick 2, stick 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, as another scorching day in the desert comes to a close, we get to be treated to another session of FIFAe Nations FIFA here in Saudi. And some of our teams have already booked their spots in the knockouts. One of those spots goes to Argentina as they top Group A. They did that in dramatic fashion earlier today with 23 points. Next up, who got the job done? It was Morocco. We didn't really expect them to be as dominant as they were. But that did mean we had to say goodbye to 4 teams, and one of those teams were these boys, the boys from the USA. Well, this is day 2 and the final session of the group stages in this year's FIFAe Nations Cup. This morning's results didn't particularly show up any surprises, and I say that as a positive, meaning that tomorrow we get to see all the top teams back in action once again. Well, welcome back to the studio here for our second session of day 2, a final shot for all the teams in Group C and D to make it to day 3 here and to the knockouts. And welcome then to everybody on the sofas as well. Mike Labelle, Brandon Smith, Richard Buckley. We're all back in the house ready for this one. Got to come this way, haven't I? USA are no longer in the competition, Mike. Gutted for them. We thought there was a turnaround on yesterday. They said they were good enough, and they looked like they were against some top teams like Italy and France.
I think we can all agree it was better today, but it wasn't enough to make up for how they played yesterday. We saw the switch as well, which was a big talking point between Fiddle and Lamps, and then going to King CJ and Lamps, 2 players that we're a little more familiar with in more recent time. Fiddle's had so much success, but I'd like to have seen that switch a little bit earlier. Obviously rubbed it in my face, even though England did not qualify for this event, just to reiterate, with all the Brits over.
He did it. He went there. Right, well, let's just confirm the standings, shall we? In those 2 groups we saw a little bit earlier this afternoon, A and B. Boys, we're not worried that England aren't here. Not much, anyway. Right, Group A, Argentina, I mentioned they topped it. Netherlands, Saudi and Denmark all go through from that group. That does mean we say goodbye if you're just joining us to Canada and Qatar. Group B then, Morocco, surprise package. They're joined by France, Finland and Italy. I'm going to skip over that. Malaysia and the boys from America don't go through. Guys, like I mentioned there though, the script pretty much, I said that in a positive way, went as we expected it to.
Unfortunately, for the neutral, it was quite anticlimactic in the end. No late goals, no tiebreaker situations. The favoured nations, the quality shone through in the end. And I think we're probably looking more at how impressive some of those nations were instead of, well, what could have been with Canada, Qatar. In Group A, for example, they were quite a considerable margin off it in the end. It wasn't a split-second decision that made it. We were done with maybe 2 rounds to go.
In the chat, Brandon, as well, was Argentina. They're looking like world champions, aren't they, even after just the group stages?
I mean, look at their form in the Nations. It's always so good. Top 2 in the first ever year, top 8 last year as well. Matías Bernardo and Nicholas, as we know, 2 fantastic players. And when they team up in 2v2, results normally follow.
And Eze Carrera as well. He got a little shout at the back, which means they do have a 3rd player to go to if needs be. Well, it's all about C and D tonight, isn't it? Let's have a little look at the tables after yesterday. Turkey then, they were, again, a package that we maybe didn't expect to be so dominant. Mike, as we have a quick look, Brazil, Singapore, Australia in the big positions at the moment. Mike, I'm going to come to you, though. Portugal and Spain, what is going wrong?
I told you yesterday that Group C was going to be the group to watch, and it has leaned into that. I don't think anybody expected Turkey to be sitting in 1st place on 13 points. I don't know if they need to actually come and get any more points today. I think that might be enough for 4th place. But the real storyline is both Portugal with Tuga and Spain with Indoni are battling it out right now, 5th and 6th place, not in the position to progress to the bracket.
And Group D, Israel, Mike was really backing those boys yesterday. We're joined on the same amount of points in the end as Sweden. I wonder if Olalito has got his voice back. That was what he was saying was wrong with him yesterday, why he didn't play any FIFA. Germany and Peru. And at the moment it's India and South Africa who have to find something today, go up another level in terms of play to get in the top 4.
Just a word on Spain. They scored 1 goal yesterday. 1 goal in 5 games of FIFA. Far too many draws. And I don't know what was going on within the camp. It's actually got Zidane there on the side. Sub him in, get him a game. And I think today I hope to see that there's going to be some changes in that roster, depending on how this first game goes.
We saw lots of changes, didn't we, earlier on this afternoon as well. Well, this is the fixtures you're going to see when the teams come out. So Singapore, Spain, Portugal, Brazil. Portugal taking the world champions. And then Turkey, the table toppers, take on Australia. Group D looks as follows. As we just wait to see what Group D are. Here we go. Peru, Israel. Germany take on India. Got a world champion in Umit there. And then Sweden, they're sitting second so far. Take on South Africa, who didn't manage to perform like the Goliath team did. Same team did last week.
And 3 of the 4 have done what we sort of expected. I actually thought Israel should have got more points if we're looking at yesterday, so they might regret only coming away with 9. But Peru might be the story in that group, that they've kind of leaned into that 4th place position. South Africa has been struggling. We saw them in E-Club. We built that narrative. We figured they would carry that momentum. They did not. And then India is still in the run of everything. They can make something happen here, and they've already looked better than we saw them last. If we're dating back to other E nations and 2v2s, it didn't really come together. They already have more points, and they're looking a little more dangerous or more likely.
Yeah, Aggie said he didn't know what to expect from the side from Peru, but, well, expect them to be pretty exciting when you get to watch them, and they're about to get ready to come out because all our competing teams this evening are ready and waiting in the wings. Here we go then, this is the final session for all these teams, and Spain walk out onto the arena for first. Big talking point from yesterday, they need to pick up points.
Yeah, certainly do. 1 point from 15 is nothing to be proud of, to say the least there. Next up is Singapore. Some would say a surprise package, and definitely with a shot of putting through in that Group D.
And then best on paper then, ranked number 1 in the world, we have the Brazilians, the defending champions.
Yeah, what a squad that is. 3 fantastic players there.
You just saw in the back there, the Australians come out. They had a bit of a stumble there walking onto stage. Don't worry, boys, it's not going to affect your game today. 24th in the rankings.
Israel, keep an eye out for those. 14 goals scored yesterday. I have to agree with what Mike said. 9 points out of 15. They might be disappointed with that, but regardless, they should be a cert to go in that top 4.
Peru then, they held the Germans to a draw and beat the South Africans. Don't sit on the South Americans.
Yeah, India and South Africa make their way to the stage. A very disappointing day 1, but as we said, it's over 2 days. It's a brand new day today.
Well, these guys, they need something big as well, don't they? The side from Portugal, they struggled, to say the least, yesterday, but they have class in their roster, so expect them to mount a comeback.
Yeah, Turkey, the team that stopped England from getting to the E-Nations, top of the table. However, Germany cannot look past this roster. Levy, Finn, Dolomite, and the current world champion, Umit. And last but not least, currently 4th as it stands, Olilito, Optole, and Olibole. Will we see Olilito a little bit more today if he's feeling a bit better?
Well, I hope so. I'm just having a little look around to see if he looks on better form. He's sitting on the back bench, though, which suggests we're not going to see him up first. Well, that team in front of you worked yesterday, didn't it, Mike? Coming second, same amount of points as Israel. No need to switch things up just yet.
And if you asked either Israel or Sweden, maybe even Germany, if they could duplicate the same form, I think they'd take it. 18 points if you're looking at the top 2, or Germany 16 points. Definitely going to be moving onward and upward, and at the end of the day, we're going to see a full-on reset when it gets into the bracket stage. And I don't know that there is so much favoritism, even though I will say I don't think I'd like to play Argentina. I didn't like what I saw there if I'm going up against them from a competitor standpoint.
Well, big team talk going on there in the Portugal camp. How's the feeling in the Swedish camp, Spencer? And is Olilito back fighting fit? If he's not, don't get too close to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm here to find out. How you feeling?
It's a bit better today, but I mean, the boys were playing really well yesterday, so I always said it, when the boys are doing well, you know, I take myself or the team before myself every day of the week, right? So they will start today. Playing South Africa will be tough.
It's a great situation to be in, though, when you've maybe got one player who's not feeling great. When you're top of the group anyway, or joint top of the group, there's no need to change anything, right? And you've got the option of when you feel better coming in. You mentioned you're playing South Africa. They're at the other side of the group, obviously. They pretty much need to win almost every game to get out of the group now. Does that make them a dangerous opposition for you?
For sure, and even if they didn't have 2 points, I think they are a fantastic side, right? And they came very far in E-Club, for example, so will be very tough and fun game to watch, hopefully.
Good to hear you sounding a bit better today. And the Swedes definitely looking good yesterday. Let's see if they can keep it going today. Right, we're going to head round this way now. Sorry, sir. I want to talk to the guys. They're having a bit of a huddle. We can see this, actually. This is Turkey. Turkey, of course, top of the group in Group C. Perhaps surprisingly, 13 points, unbeaten. Who wants to do the talking? Here we go, sir. So, Turkey, talk to me. 13 points. Did you think that was going to happen when you started yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are one of the favorites in this group, and still we are the favorites in the group. And I think we can go as first through the knockouts.
Mike was saying that he thinks you've probably already got enough points to get out the groups, even if you didn't pick up any today. With that in mind, have you started to plan ahead and think about who you might play in the knockouts?
Yeah, we did, but we just want to finish as first in the group. We don't care who we play next.
You got a target, because I can tell you that 23 points is the most anyone's got so far in both this and the E-Club World Cup. That was actually Argentina who got it earlier. If you were to beat that, that would be quite impressive. And also, no one's gone an entire group stage without losing a game yet. You could do that as well. Would that mean anything? I know it doesn't get you anything, but it's quite a nice accolade, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice target for us, but our first target is to get us first through the groups.
Okay, keep up the good work. Turkey, you can hear the noise kicking off. Teams getting ready to play. Let's get these games underway, shall we, Rachel?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Well, Group D is still pretty stacked, and in that group, we have a side who are ranked 6th in the world. Sitting 5th in that group, it's India. And we got a chance to catch up with this nation earlier on in the week.
All the 40-50 nations that are in the rankings are really good. So it doesn't matter if you're ranked first or ranked last, like anyone has a chance in this game.
Yeah, there's a few points we need to improve on, of course, like every other team as well. But it's more of the mentality side that I think we need to strengthen.
I think
We're growing as a nation in esports as a whole.
FIFA is helping football grow, I think, but football is also helping FIFA grow a lot. No doubt cricket is the biggest sport in India, but football is becoming better.
So it's really nice the entire country comes together to support our Indian national team, even in football and in FIFA. Yeah, growing up, I mean, it's always been a dream to play for your country in either a sport or an esport. So to do so is like a huge honor. I mean, we're representing an entire nation of people, so it really means a lot and we're proud to do so.
Well, that Indian side are playing these Germans first up today. It's the same order as they play on day one as well. Germany did get the better of the Indian side, 2-1 it was yesterday. Umit comes in as the world champion. We haven't seen his partner Anders perform at the same level with his national side here today. Mike, do you think the Germans have a slightly better chance from what you've seen compared to the Danes?
From what we saw yesterday, I thought they looked a little bit better. But at the same time, if there is a critique for Germany as a national team, I think our expectation is greater than what they've accomplished thus far, especially when you look at it from an individual and the amount of quantity of top-level players. You start thinking surely they should be in finals, at least reaching top fours consistently, or they're just not picking the right mix, the right group, the best 2v2 that's available, because you have such a high level and high quantity of top players in that nation.
Well, it's fitting that we're on Brazil during that chat, because we brought up the same chat yesterday, didn't we, in terms of the roster change that the Brazilian side have seen this year compared to last year when they were the world champions. Do you think Germany, then, boys, have picked the right team to come here this year?
Absolutely. I think the newest addition in that team is Levi Finn. He was the rookie of the year last year, and he's continued to have unbelievable dominance, not just in the European rankings, in the virtual Bundesliga, and in general. He's just got better and better, and many have called him the next big thing to come from Germany.
Well, he sits next to a world champion, so expect that pairing to try and have a great start to proceedings. But they're up against India, and we're looking at Singapore-Spain so far, Rich.
Must-win game for Spain. If you're not winning this game, the tournament is almost a write-off. Even this early on, you've got 1 point. Singapore would be a very close competition. They would start to move the needle, push further ahead And it just doesn't look good if Spain don't win this opening game. They'll know that they were on the same coach as us coming into the venue today, 12 midday. It's now 8 hours later. That's probably 8-9 hours of good practice, and they just have to start well. Do Spain.
Mike, I'm going to come to you. You're now Team Israel in my eyes, if that's okay with you. I know you're bigging up their chances, and they get a early goal here to kick off Group C and D.
Pretty simple finish there. A little bit of some goalkeeper movement. Maybe they get a friendly bounce, but at the end of the day, Israel's been so impressive. And I talked about it yesterday. I'll double down. The fact that they have the 3 clear-cut choices, all these guys get together, they have the camaraderie. They're clearly the best 3 players in their nation. I think that works as an advantage. I expect them to do well here. I said it early on. They're a top 4 finish team for me. I'll stand by that.
So you've just answered your own question when you were talking about Germany. Maybe they don't have a top 3 players that are leaps and bounds ahead of everyone. So more.
Dylan, Mike, you're not saying he's a top player?
From what we've seen thus far in this competition, right? We can go through teams. Do you think that there's 4 teams better than Germany? And the answer for me is yes. So from what I've seen thus far. Now we know in a bracket things can shift, but I thought Argentina, Netherlands, very impressive. I think Saudi and Denmark can cause some problems. Morocco, I didn't expect that. I still think nobody wants to really play France. And then the same can be said with Israel. The same can be said with Sweden. Brazil was one of my favorites and still is one of my favorites. So this is where we start bringing in what's happening with the likes of Germany. Where do they really file into all those players?
Speaking of Germany, they have opened the scoring nice and early. Portugal versus Brazil here, what you're seeing on your screen, but Germany are taking on India and did open the scoring just after 13 minutes, driving to the byline, cut across the box, the easiest goal you're going to see today. And the Germans look to pick up where they left off yesterday with a win.
And I'd like to date back to what you were saying, Rich, with Spain. They got to be perfect today. They don't get leeway games. They don't get anything that's going to be in between. They have to legitimately be perfect. And that might just be enough. I don't even know if it gets some insured thing. We've already got Turkey on 13 points leading the group. You're going to need some massive results, and you also might need some help from Brazil, from Singapore, who also shook up this group. I don't think a lot of people expected Singapore to come out and get the points on the board. They're sitting with 7. Australia was sitting with 6. Portugal sitting with 5. And we know Tuga's going to battle. There's a lot happening in Group C is the point that I'm making.
For Spain, what you need is Turkey to keep winning. You can't have them dropping points to players around you, as Spain
Something they didn't do, Rich. We didn't see that yesterday.
Open the scoring. It's Garrincha with the goal, and Spain have doubled the amount of goals they scored yesterday in the opening 20 minutes today.
Wild statement. Quick feed, and they always eat inside the box. Got to be good for the confidence.
Spain scored their first goal in round 4 yesterday. Someone who loved scoring goals yesterday was Israel. That's their 16th goal they've registered now in this group. You have to keep an eye on them. And just back to the Israel conversation, speaking to Roy Feldman before they kicked off today, he said, look, I don't think there's going to be 3 players as good as us in Israel that come through for quite some time, which just shows the confidence those 3 have.
That's a fair statement.
Or Mike, they can actually create that by them being world champions this year.
Well, I think he's more so saying from even a developmental state that what you already have here in terms of the trifecta, you just can't remake and replicate that level of talent. Beautiful goal there, Israel adding to it. Peru's down 3-0, 20th minute. This is definitely fitting the argument.
Spain was the question on a lot of people's minds. There has been a second goal. We'll give you that in 1 moment's time. Brazil opening the scoring against a turbulent Portuguese side yesterday. They were a little bit sketchy in their performance. Too many draws, not enough wins, not enough goals being scored. I was speaking to Tuga for generally maybe about 10-15 minutes before we got kicked off today. And he said it's so important for that opening game to get a win, and that is exactly what Spain are doing. They're 2-0 up against Singapore, and they look to be potentially doing something historic.
They need 4 out of 5 to give themselves a chance. And we saw this happen earlier in E-Club. We talked about with Hollywood, with the Aussies. 13 points in this group, I believe, will be enough, but you're not slotting or top in the group. You're barely getting in there. It's going to be a 4th place battle.
It's also not easy games. I'm not saying that Hollywood got easy games on their route through. However, the level of competition is much tougher for Spain, it has to be said, than what Hollywood matched up against earlier on in the week at the FIFAe Club World Cup.
Well, we've got plenty of goals to go to. Let's go back to Brazil against Portugal first and foremost, if we can, and I'll guide you through what else we've just seen across the last few in-game minutes. Brazil, Richard, you said they went 1-0 up. It didn't take them long to go 2-0 up. We heard a big vamo from the edge of the box. How about that one for a finish? Didn't need to be time green. That wasn't the only goal that went in. Over to Sweden now against South Africa. Sweden currently second in the group, looking to go on from that. And then there was another goal from Israel to make it 4-0 over in that game. We'll go and check that one out very shortly indeed. Germany still lead India by 1-0 in this one.
Brandon's on quick fire there, hitting all the highlights. Goal on goal on goal.
Well, let's go to the Spain game. Spain have got 2 goals, one more than they had yesterday. Of course, they only scored 1. The comeback is on, though, in this one, Mike.
We got a glimpse of this just as we were switching around. We saw this in real time. Low-driven, easy tap-in. Spain's going to have to battle through, and they need a result here. I know we talked about it already as we're getting into, like, halftime, but there's no other way around it. Spain's going to have to win out to kind of give themselves a chance, but I'd love to be a part of that narrative. In fact, Richard, in this same seat, this same couch, yesterday said, Spain's getting through, I guarantee it. So we'll see if Rich is true to his words.
I did. I also put them top in the group, Spain, here in Group C. Doesn't look likely.
I think that has to still be credit to the competition. We've talked about it a little bit, but the fact that Turkey's came out, the fact that Brazil, who we expected to come out and do the business, Singapore, Australia, Portugal, the quality of opposition is really what's throwing off Spain a little bit too. They didn't play good yesterday, but they couldn't get any points not playing at their best.
You can't quite see us on camera right now, but it's pretty fitting. You've got Nom-Nisat of Israel, with a pair of sunglasses on, arms folded just behind his 2 teammates where they're just banging in goals. They're 4-0 up in game 1. They're cruising.
Who does that remind you of? Champions wearing sunglasses?
Real Crepaldi action. If he starts bouncing some dance moves, we're going to have a real situation. And I would also argue that this is the best that you've all's ever been at FIFA. So the fact that you're even getting better, and these have been the 3 staple pieces to that success story, that's why they talked about we might not see this in history again.
Number 1, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes down to winning FGS. It comes down to the talent pool that you have to work with and the potential of that talent pool. You can develop, become a better FIFA player, but everybody still has different peaks and different levels of potential. And these 3 guys are at that upper tier, that highest degree of pro player goodness, and it's hard to make that and remake and replicate it. It's just the reality.
And you can even argue as well, different years they both peaked. Like Roy Feldman last year, good runs in the Champions League. This year's all been about Juvel. Then maybe that FIFA 20 season and FIFA 21 season was all about Nisat. So you've got 3 great players there that have been teammates before in the same esports teams. Loads of reps together. And I sort of joked to Roy earlier and said, I think these guys are your brothers, aren't they? And they said, yeah, they pretty much are.
They also did win the European qualifier to get into this tournament. The 11 nations from Europe, they were the best nation in that, took home a decent prize money as well. And who did they beat in the final? You'll not believe it, given on performances over the last couple of days. Spain were second best in qualifying in Europe. They've been subpar, that's to say the least, to put it kindly, here in the group standings, here in Group C. Still leading though.
Can you have a look, Mike, as well at the length of the seasons? They started many months ago in this qualification period, and Richard just saying there, Spain did a good job in the qualifications. It comes at the end of FIFA 23, doesn't it? And they've played so many matches, so many hours they've been playing and grinding out this game. Have you already gone past your peak for Team Spain?
I would argue against being past your peak, but the game has updates, patches, shifts, changes, what adjusts in the meta. And every player, again, I talk about the potential, but certain players are naturally better at certain elements of FIFA, therefore a patch can cater to them or be detrimental, and that's something that we see happen. But I don't think there's a fallout or a lack of communication or a mental fatigue throughout the year. That's not the case. It's just a matter of how the game shifts and then how well or how quick can you pivot as a squad.
Well, that qualifier also, I'm going to go pre-SS, pre-shapeshifter. Now we're post-shapeshifter.
Is that what we're calling
We're in a
this?
post-shapeshifter
Pre-SS.
FIFA 23 meta, and some sides that will suit a lot more.
Well, and let's add some context there to give an idea. That's before the Petr Cechs of the world, or the Savic, the Buffon as a center back, Martinez as a center back, Hugo Lloris into the midfield. All these key players that do change the game. And something that was strange about goalkeepers was the size. so many goalkeepers that are now 6'4", 6'5", but they move like a winger. They're moving like Neymar on the virtual pitch.
Even a few of the icons as well. Henry, he's a big lad. What, 6'2"? Now he's 5-star, 98 rated. Can twist, can turn. He can play left wing or left wing back. Just the level of player that we've given the FIFA pros is through the roof. So we see Portugal here still trailing, should I say, 2-0 against Brazil.
Yeah, well, there was one game that was 0-0 for quite some time. It was Turkey against Australia. Now, suddenly that game has come to life. We'll give you the lowdown as soon as we can from that one. Two teams that currently sit in that top 4. Turkey, the only unbeaten team left in the tournament. Australia, as we said, were 1-0 up. It was Turkey that we hear brought a goal back in that game. Brazil still leading Portugal 2-0 as it stands so far. This was the news that we heard come in. Over to Sweden against South Africa.
Oh, that's beautiful. You see a little
South
Magidi
Africa.
cancel with the resurface. Big time finish.
Got a goal back. This is the one I was trying to tee up. Turkey making it 1-1. Little step over to the right. Thank you very much for coming. You had quite a good shout of South Africa last night, Rich, in terms of what went wrong for those guys and sort of the attitude coming in for today.
Yeah, as we see a late consolation there for Peru. They just said it seems very simple, but we just didn't score. We didn't create. We were maybe just a little bit weak in the final third mentally as well. We weren't expressing ourselves. We weren't taking risks. And when I was speaking to Bianchi, he's the leader of that team. He said, if we're going to get eliminated, I want to go out knowing that we did everything we could do. We didn't leave anything on the table. We tried our very best. And you're seeing this performance where we saw the equalising goal against Sweden. Yesterday, that might end up 2 or 3-0 to Sweden. They're pushing back in games now and they're showing a bit of fight.
He's got a certain bass in his voice too. When he speaks, I listen.
Mm-hmm.
If he was going to lead me into a FIFA war, I'm with him. Put me on the squad.
The accent is great, isn't it? The South African accent. But this would be a great result for them if they could keep it as it is, as it would be for Australia here against this Turkey side who... Mike, did you expect them to be as strong as they have been here?
No one expected them to be leading the group on double digits, the only team on double digits coming into this, especially with a group that's shared by the likes of Brazil, Australia, Portugal, Spain. These are some big name nations that some have underperformed, some have overperformed, and maybe some of it we just missed. I didn't realize Turkey was good as they are.
Similar story possibly to Morocco, which we saw a little bit earlier.
Definitely, potentially that is a talking point for this Turkey team that, I mean, look, what day they had yesterday. The crazy thing is, these Turkey players are so good, they keep Izzo Power and they keep Omerto out the team. He was still in that booth, but haven't picked up the controller as of yet. 10 minutes left in this one. Portugal did get a goal back against Spain. Let's go and have a look at the goal now. Speaking of Thierry Henry, shapeshifter. It was him. Back the goal. The corner. For Turkey, they build up their pressure there. Here's the goal that we said we missed. Portugal hunting for a way back in this tie. Keeper got a hand on it, but not a strong enough hand. 2-1. Brazil still do lead. Spain still leading 2-1. They're looking for their first win in the tournament.
Yeah, if they get their first win, Spencer's got to be straight down there asking them, are they maybe playing with more freedom because they didn't do what we expected them to do yesterday, Mike? They just have to kind of relax a bit more and say, it doesn't matter. We've got to do better than yesterday.
I don't know if we're going to see a lot of shifts from Turkey. I wouldn't change anything. Everything worked for you yesterday. I'd keep that on a repeat. You're trying to build consistency, if anything. We talked a lot about substitutions. Ooh, that's beautiful. You see the pop-off. South Africa. I'm looking forward to an interview again. Put Bianchi there. I'm telling you, he's going to lead me somewhere. You saw the reversal last week. That's a big moment for them. Actually, a huge moment for them. They need the points. They've got the points. They celebrated the points. And it was a gorgeous setup, gorgeous goal. Had the extracurricular.
And I just spoke to them outside before coming into this venue here 5-10 minutes before we went live. He said, we're going to do this. We're not leaving anything out there. We are going to perform. Spain, inches away from picking up 3 points on the board and starting to turn the screw.
Just on that Sweden-South Africa game, we didn't see it on the main feed, but they actually cleared it off the line, South Africa, 5 minutes before scoring that winner. What a massive 3 points that is, but more so for Spain. 1 point from 15 yesterday for a team that scored 1 goal all day long. Look, they're getting 3 points, and they've actually scored more than 1 goal in their opening game.
And they've stuck with the same team. Zidane's still waiting in the wings. They've gone with Andoni and Neat to turn it around. They got them into this mess, get us out as they extend their lead to 3-1. Fist bumps all around, a little bit of belief potentially starting to seep through into those Spanish players. Plenty more games ahead of you. You're probably minimum 4 wins out of 5 for Spain. That would put them on 13 points. And you're probably just about on the cusp, maybe 4th or 3rd. And results are probably going to have to go your way if they want to try and solidify a spot. Germany versus India. This has got only a few moments remaining as Germany look to once again pick up 3 points against a resolute India side.
And I think it's going to take time, isn't it, to work out what is that the right German duo. I think the one thing they do have in their favour, look who's standing behind them and sitting behind them. They've got Daniel there, who just coached the team to an E-Club World Cup victory. You've got Stylo there that coached Mo Alba to a FIFA E World Cup victory a few years ago. So much talent and knowledge of the game between those two in that booth.
The issue is they're spoiled for choice. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but that's my opinion. You probably have in Germany easily 20, 25 players that would be eligible for a successful 2v2 partnership. Especially with the virtual Bundesliga, they're practicing all year. So then it comes down to who works the best together, who likes each other the most, who has the time to practice, who's going to give you the best opportunity to achieve greatness.
I'm going to very quickly disagree and say I think it's Ummet +1. I think Ummet's a world champion. He's just won the Club World Cup. You have to find someone who accompanies him the best, and that's the question. I don't think you're looking for.
That's still 2 spots.
I think
one
spot
still makes my point valid.
1 spot and a sub.
Well, you still want to have the depth, don't you? Compared to possibly, like we were saying about Israel, and there's only those 3 top players. You want to have choice in these national sides because obviously all these sides want success and to also breed the next generation of players to come through in years to come and have the same success that we see here this year at this E-Nations Cup. Well, that's the first round, and actually it did kind of switch things up a little bit, not to make the table change, but to give a lot of teams some hope, and I'm talking about that Spanish side, of course, getting their first 3 points of this nation's campaign, and Singapore just hold them to ransom as well, don't they? They take points off them, so they obviously close that gap slightly. We've been chatting about, haven't we, the side from Spain. They stuck with the team that they knew. They stuck with Andoni and Neat there, but Spen is down there on the ground for us. Spen, which team are you picking first to go and chat to?
I'm going to jump in with the Australia boys who've just got a draw. 7 points now. What are you thinking?
We probably should have won now. We played very good for our standards. I feel like we got robbed of 2 points there, but it is what it is. We've still got 4 games to go.
You're in a better position than you were this time last week in the E-Club World Cup, though. You know you got through that, so you've got to be feeling confident.
Yeah, of course. We just need maybe 1 win and then don't lose the rest of our games, and we're good to go.
Naylor, what's it like playing alongside Mark? How's your chemistry?
Pretty good. We've known each other for a while and played pro clubs together for like 4 or 5 years now, so we've got pretty good chemistry.
Okay, Australians going well. Marcus called them underdogs earlier. We'll call them the down underdogs, shall we? Let's go down here and talk to the South Africa lads who've just picked up a really big win, actually, against Sweden, who were unbeaten before that. Now, I've heard that you guys were really confident, really, last night in your ability to get out of this group, and you've backed it out with the performance there.
Yeah, that was very important for us, going a goal down. We thought it might be the same like yesterday, but you need to have the willingness to want to win, the determination and desire to continue and keep going. And I think that's what we do. Our slogan, mine for the past 2 weeks, it's been until the end. So we're going to fight until the end, keep going until the end. And I'm glad we brought it back to win. That was clutch.
I like it a lot. 5 points now. You've got 4 games left. You need to win them all, or maybe 3 of them?
That's the goal, I think. Take it game by game, obviously. But the goal is to win every single game. We're going to give everything we have for our country and our people back home.
I love it. I love the passion. And listen, they just beat a team in Sweden that was unbeaten, so they can beat anyone. What that tells us, South Africa could still make it out of this group, Rachel.
Yeah, it's a massive result for them, isn't it? And they go up against India next as well, so could take another big 3 points because the South African duo there. I'm just going back to what the Australians said as well. They said they want one more win and then they want some draws. Would that make it 3 more draws? So they think they can get through with 13 points, and I'd probably say they're correct there as well.
I mean, Group C, in a perfect situation, you're kind of hoping that Turkey and Brazil pull away, and then it allows for the bottom 4, the other 4 teams to kind of battle out for the 2 slots. I think that's the perfect scenario, maybe for us watching as well. If you're a neutral, you're going to have a lot happening in that group in terms of things shifting and each game mattering oh so much if those 2 teams are able to carry and kind of pull away. Otherwise,
Well, also those draws take points away from Spain and Portugal. So I think it's less about you getting the point, but also taking 2 away from the teams that are trying to chase you. That's where Australia, that's where Brazil will be looking towards now. Turkey, the big question is, will they perform as well as they did yesterday? I think they're a little bit of an unknown quantity. They were outstanding yesterday. Will they replicate today? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Spain then, because we said they only got 1 goal all day yesterday. They got 2 today in their first round of fixtures, and because they got some goals, we thought Alex B could analyse one of them for us. Alex, perfect way to start. How did Spain do in your opinion?
Very well in that game that we just saw, picking up their first victory. And yesterday, they only scored 1 goal. So what was different about what they were doing today? Well, we're going to go in and jump exactly into that for you. The big thing for Spain that has made a big difference in this game is about getting into that 18-yard box. It's one of the hardest areas for you to penetrate on FIFA. That right there, everyone knows at home it's so difficult to get into. So how do you actually do that? Well, you need to get in between the lines of the midfield and the defence. That right there. That pass back into Bellingham just gives you that time and space to look for that reverse ball. You can see how Singapore, with their players that they have in the middle, they think it's going to go back into that top side of the screen, changing that tempo. If you can be quicker with the ball at your feet, look for the direct pass to go straight into the 18-yard box, you can catch your opponents out. That's exactly what Neat and Andoni did, that first-time ball into Mbappe. And you know, if Mbappe is in that area, you can take that touch, that time, just get that shot off, you can score goals. That's exactly how they did it, Rachel. Back over to you.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I loved you just going through that. Mike, am I saying then that they didn't do that yesterday? Were they just trying to kind of pass directly into the box? We're not making space and time by passing it backwards and looking for the areas like Alex was just alluding to there?
I just don't think they clicked at all offensively yesterday. There was a lot of problems offensively. I'm not going to just say it was one issue here and there. They didn't have the creativity. They didn't get into the dangerous locations. They didn't have the quick passing. They didn't change the tempo of the game. Defensively, possession-wise, they were okay, but offensively, there's not a lot of positives from yesterday, and they're trying to build on that.
And who's the goal scorer out of the 2 of them that you have to look at as well? Neat
I
or
think you have to
Andoni, or
say
do they
Neat.
kind of are they quite balanced?
They both pull their weight, obviously, but Neat's always been known as that flary player in the box. He's your skiller. He's the one that just you let him express himself in the final third. They couldn't do that yesterday for some reason, but maybe today they've been able to find a way.
They'll get success if... One thing that I noticed yesterday, when things weren't going well, Neat became a bit greedy. I think he was trying to do too much himself. I think you have to balance the genuine quality that he's got with sort of letting your teammate do some of that hard work for you. He's not going to be able to take on the entire team. He's not going to be able to do it all himself. So if he can sort of mesh really well and they can play together and then also play to Neat's strengths, that's where they'll have serious success. It's still on. It's still on.
Well, it needs to start becoming on, if that even makes sense, for Portugal. We were saying, Mike, it was between Portugal and Spain, who were struggling yesterday. Lost their first fixture, but it was to the defending champions, Brazil. Do you just kind of put that one to the side and go, well, they are number 1 in the world. We have to now look forward for our next 4 games.
You have to have short-term memory, but when I look at this group, in the timelines, you're starting to run out of points that are available. So we can't keep making excuses. At some point, Portugal has to get those results, and they can't be draws. That's kind of been the Achilles heel of Portugal. Even the 2v2s when it was Andoni and Tuga, they struggled because they weren't able to get the goals, and they had a lot of games they drew. They didn't lose a bunch, but the point situation, the point tallies, you need it, and they left it too late, and it adds additional pressure.
Well, the round 2 kicked off around the grounds, as we said. Brazil against Australia. One thing that we know about Australia, Rachel, is that they do love a draw. 4 draws now in 6 games that they've played. I think they said, look, we'll win 1 game and we'll draw the last 3. I mean,
They're happy with draws as well.
They could draw them.
It's okay about drawing, isn't it, today? Obviously, we don't have any draws tomorrow when we get into the knockouts, but they need to be careful because surely they want to get further in the round of 16, and if they just play for draws, they're probably going to finish fourth there, Rich, and then they have to come up against a really top-class team.
Yeah, you find yourself in a very sticky situation where you're coming into a first-round bracket game, not full of confidence, playing against one of the best teams in the group so far. We're jumping on board here with Singapore and Portugal. You just see Portugal, they know what they have to do. They have to start scoring goals, and the confidence has to start moving and grooving in and around this box. Tuga didn't play the first game. I'm not surprised. He's probably the more defensive of the three. He's brought in when you need to see a game out, and you need that sort of element of leadership in the team. It's one. They're not conceding at the minute, but also not scoring. Like, offensively, they've been lackluster.
I don't want to be a broken record, but you need that inventive nature. You've got to have those cancellations. You have to have the intricate details, the particulars, different ways to express yourself, and you have to be willing to take risks. We've even seen teams, sometimes instead of the skills, they go with more of a direct approach, where you're seeing a lot of knockdowns with the Savic or the Ruud Hullet in the midfield, and then those headers allow for spacing to open up, and they're dragging players out of position. There just has to be some way that you're pushing bodies forward that's not too methodical.
Singapore have been a very sort of inconsistent team so far, and I think in this group it might very well come down to how they perform. Spain picked up a win in their last round. They're up against Turkey here, top of the table. Nothing to report as of yet, Brandon, but once again, the narrative is Spain must win.
Absolutely. Well, when this game took place yesterday, it was Turkey that won by 1-0. As that recent 3-1 result got Spain firing in the final third. So they build up on this attack now. Neat and Andoni, what have you got for us? Find a killer pass through, maybe they can now. Spain finding the perfect start. Suddenly day two looks like a brand new tournament for them.
But you see the passing. It's more direct, it's quicker, it's more concise, it's in the right place at the right time, and you have to take risks.
Spain, maybe that 7 hours of practice today is starting to prove vital for them. They just look, I think you, Mike, and both Alex said it, quicker, snappier, the tempo is there as Germany continue their winning ways. First game victory against India, now leading against Peru.
Yeah, and there was also another goal. I'm sure the South African fans will be happy to see this one go into the back of the net against India.
Bit of a shocking result coming in once again. It's not going Portugal's way. Singapore, they were the unknown quantity. They were the thing that you didn't expect to be happening, the nation that we just didn't know about. And they are leading with a big, big result against Portugal. You mentioned South Africa. This is a must-win game, Mike, for them against India.
The groups are setting up so nicely. We talk about scripting or writing the script and so forth, and how a lot of the games kind of went by the way that we expected earlier today. And I would even go as far as saying 7 of the 8 teams that qualified before we got started would have been the sure things in Group A and Group B. It's starting to get a lot more nifty now in Group C and Group D. We're going to have a lot of movement, and there's a lot of room for those big stories.
Well, what's happening? The nations that required wins, that needed to win, are winning. Spain, South Africa. The only nation that's struggling at the minute is Portugal.
There could be another nation that's finding it quite hard in day two, and that is Sweden. They take on Israel right now. We know that Israel scored 4 goals in their opening matchup. They haven't stopped scoring in game number 2 as well. They've scored not 1, but 2 goals. First one came in the 15th minute, as they have actually made a sub, in fact. It's Nisak that comes in alongside Yuval Belli. Rowie Feldman, sort of the captain of the team, will sub himself out of this game. They lead by 2-0. Germany against Peru. Germany still leading by 1-0 here.
Israel are ridiculous. Like, they make every game look easy. Just the way that they're playing. Such quality, such talent in this team. And just as I'm talking about them, they did double their lead. That's 2-0 on the rebound. Sweden, what you can't see, just after this goal went in, a pause has been cued, and they've been sat maybe 40, 50 seconds waiting at this current moment. I feel like we've talked a lot about Israel, but
they've earned it.
They earn, yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to get the results to earn some of that airtime. I will say it's a little concerning or alarming for Sweden. However, the fact that Peru and India are not performing still puts them in a position where you're just thinking they got to be top 4 even with an off day.
And they still have Ololito. Obviously, he doesn't feel well still. I'm just looking behind to see if he's in. I don't think he is. Can't quite see from here. But they do have that extra arsenal, don't they, to bring him when they need to if he feels better. Would you start trying to bring him in even if he doesn't feel 100%?
I mean, if they
maybe in round 4?
If they don't win this game, Rachel, I mean, why not bring it in for round 3? Don't get me wrong, I know that the Swedish team of Optole and Olibole have already played, 7 games it will be together. Some would argue it's a bit risky, but look, Ololito's a fantastic player. They would have played games in warm-ups and practice. Make a move, and they might have to do it in this next round. As Spain still lead Turkey by a 1-0.
If he's not well, which he's not, we've heard him in the interviews, and he's not played a game yet, I think you just stick. I think you just stick with Olibole and Optole.
But at the moment, they're relatively safe, Rich, because Peru and India are dropping points. So you kind of want him to play at least 1 game, though, even if he's not feeling. Maybe we wait a little bit till round 5, like we did earlier on with some of the teams, and he has to just get a warm-up as we jump back into a team who don't really need to warm up. They are having quite a lot of fun so far. It is Germany.
They haven't conceded a goal yet in day 2. One thing they have continued to do is score goals. No Dolomite involved as of yet. Still Wimmet and Levy Finn. It's a big 2-goal lead there at half-time against Peru.
And that's a lovely read. Kind of fakes the step over, the change of direction, a little bit of a hesitation, bursts into space. 5-star weak foot, always going to convert.
Big chance for Sweden as we join this one live now. Has to go in. What a save it was. Let's go, he's begging in the end. 8 minutes away from half-time here.
I know we said at the top of the show, Israel probably disappointed that they didn't get more points. I think one of us was speaking to the team. I feel like they've won every game. Like, every time we go to Israel, they're winning. And I just... The scary thing is, for a lot of these other nations, I don't see a lot of nations that beat them right now.
They haven't lost a game.
They've dropped points.
They've drawn a few, but
I don't see another nation right now. Maybe Argentina. I think they might match up quite nicely. I can't count on one hand how many nations.
But Rich, we know what happens tomorrow. If a couple of teams hold them to a draw, how good are Israel at penalties? Because we saw a lot of matches go to penalty shootouts last week.
Be completely honest, I think they blitz a lot of teams.
I'm going bigger on that blitz because they're Group D. They're going to play Group B. There's no one in Group B.
Match up nicely.
Yeah, there's no one in Group B that's beating Israel, in my opinion, on record.
They match up real nicely until the brackets cross over and you start playing teams from Group A and C, and that's where potentially they might come unstuck. But there's still a long way to go. They're going to go through the groups, but you never know what might happen overnight.
Well, Robbie said earlier, he said, look, Brandon, look, we top this group, we play Italy, or we come second, we play Finland. But he sat there and went, some people might favour that Finland tie. He says, look, they're both going to be difficult games regardless of what happens. But Italy should be fearful if Israel were going to be topping the group like this.
I actually think Italy's a more predictable game. You know what you get? Finland, you're going to get a lot of crosses, you're going to get a lot of balls to the back post, you're going to get a lot of headers. That's almost a more difficult game, whereas with Italy, I think you pretty much go toe-and-toe, and Israel, in my eyes, from what we've seen from Italy so far, probably come on top out of that 9 out of 10 times.
It's hard to say. If you haven't watched Finland play, I suggest you rewatch some games, but they have a little bit of a different approach to playing FIFA. A lot of route one, lobbing the ball forward, again, looking for those knockdowns, playing a lot of percentage play. It's clever, it's strategic, it's definitely programmed and planned, and it worked for them really well earlier today.
Zil, big chance, ball bouncing around the box, still 0-0 in this one. Australia certainly know how to see out a game in a drawing scenario.
But to Rich's point, they're not necessarily following the rules of FIFA goodness, and that can lead to some unpredictable nature. You might come out there for Israel and crush them, but they might disrupt what you've been doing because it's not a normal team, a little more unorthodox, and it's probably not what you've experienced in some of your practice games, some of your online developments, and so forth and so on.
I mean, I know they're not here in England, but we've seen many times England have faced Israel in group stage and qualifiers. Israel were just that bogey team that you don't want to come up against because they always give you a ridiculous game.
You know, you look at the Australia side and they just said they wanted about 13 points to go through. Do you look at that as well and kind of go, well, that could sit them in fourth? Have they not looked at Group A and who they'd come up against if they were sitting in fourth, Argentina? Do you not look ahead and kind of go, oh my God, I need more than just one win because I do not want to play Nicholas and Matías Bonanno?
I don't know if you do. I think the number one aim for Australia is just get out the groups.
Maybe they should then, Rich. If they want to progress a little bit further. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Australia. I'm giving a lot to Argentina.
Well, they've got a bigger problem right now, Australia, because the idea was to win the next game, but it's not looking that way as Brazil.
They're having a few South American woes already.
Yeah, have taken the lead in this game. Little jockey and a dummy all the way through. 25 minutes left in that one. Brazil lead by a goal to nil. Keep in mind, they are the current E-Nations Cup holders.
We can say then with these guys, because Germany have had a lot of success so far in Riyadh. Well, I should say a German team, and now a German nation is looking to back that up. And if that was to happen, guys, if a German club could win last week and then the German national side was to win this week, it again just cements the fact that we said there's a lot of talent coming out of Germany.
Let me paint a picture with Peru here. Coming into the day, 6 points. Let's assume that Germany sees us out. They're up 2-0. You've got South Africa, you've got India in striking distance. If you're Peru, you've got to win those matchups today. If you want to have a chance here, you've got to take points off the teams that are around you. Otherwise, not only are they going to be surpassed, they're going to be dealing with the very much so informed, rejuvenated, motivated, confident-speaking Bianchi leading South Africa. That South Africa looks like they're poised to make a run.
Absolutely. As we just join this match here in a celebration, and it's an Israeli celebration. They lead 3-0 against, I mean, just looking at the pictures at face value, quite a dejected Swedish camp right there.
Yeah, lots going wrong for them. We were really bigging them up, and they were on the same level of points as Israel after yesterday. Teams just turning up the heat a little bit on day two.
In defense, we've still been building that Israel's been the leader in that group, even if the points said a different story at the end of day one. And it's kind of showed today in that regard.
Spain are moving.
Yeah, Spain are moving as well. I think Germany's edging out some points here, maybe creating a little bit of a degree of separation, moving into that second position. Sweden, if they don't fix it, could be in a scenario where they're kind of battling for fourth, because we got to look at South Africa. They're starting to have that little extra cushion. You can feel the energy's different, the ambiance is different, the confidence. There's a certain aroma of FIFA wins coming through when they're speaking, a certain level of composure and almost responsibility for the nation. When Bianchi spoke to Spain, he said, I got to do this for South Africa.
Well, they made history last week, didn't they? The fact that the first South African team to get to the Club World Cup finals. And I think they realised they did a lot wrong yesterday and need to right those wrongs. And they look more relaxed. They were going to enjoy it, Mike.
And if they don't right those wrongs, this overshadows the good E-Club that they have. That's the issue.
They want to motivate more players, don't they, in their region and in South Africa as well. And getting some good results here does just that.
They also knew that they underperformed massively in their own performances. India inside the box, get an equaliser. Twisting and turning. In South Africa, frustration.
Lovely outside Elastico. Creates a little bit of a lane of space. We did all that building for South Africa, and now they're in another one of those scenarios they're going to have to chase back. And then also, if India can nip this game at the end, puts them in a whole different competitive spirit going forward. We're still pretty early on if you're looking at Group C, you're looking at Group D, but it is day two, and everything starts to be under that magnifying glass.
Well, a team that aren't necessarily under that magnifying glass. So Germany, they don't need to be. Peru possibly do. A lot of work to do. Aggie was going, I didn't know much about them. They're doing quite well, aren't they? Sitting in that fourth and automatic spot at the moment. Let's go over then to big matchup. Well, a big matchup for the Australian side. Said they wanted a win. That is slipping through their fingers at the moment. as they do face the defending champions here.
Yeah, not going to plan, is it, for Australia? They look like they could be under the magnifying glass very soon. If they can't pick up any more points. This is live footage now from the game. 77 minutes on the clock. Brazil in the driving seat.
Also haven't checked in on it recently, but we've still got Spain 1-0 over Turkey. And that's important. 84th minute, they see this out. Big upset just based on form and back-to-back wins now.
Newsflash, Israel are still scoring goals. There's been some more news over in this game potentially. 85 minutes on the clock. This is massive for Spain. Minutes away, seconds away of real-life time. From 6 points from 6 on day 2 of the tournament. They were rock bottom of the group coming into day 2 with 1 point from 15. Now they'll sit on 7. People might start taking them a little bit more seriously.
Just starting to join the conversation. That's all they're doing. There's no sort of aspirations really yet. I don't think they even probably think, yeah, we're in a good position now. They're just taking one game at a time, one win at a time, and just adding that little bit of pressure on the people around them. Because yesterday they were out of the conversation. Now the invite's been sent.
Well, it's Portugal, isn't it, who they're putting the pressure on?
Who can't buy a win at the minute. Portugal, we've not checked in a little while. 81st minute, still trailing against Singapore as we see the closing moments of Brazil versus Australia here. And Australia probably starting to get dragged into those conversations as well.
I think the issue we got from Portugal as well is, you know, we said about Tuga sitting on the bench and Jafonso and Rodrigo being in the driving seat, but they're still not creating enough chances. They're not creating any real goals in day 2 here.
And they're conceding.
I don't love this. I don't love this Tuga on the bench. It doesn't make sense to me. He's the most experienced, most successful player that you have.
Well, let's go into that matchup, which doesn't actually include Tuga at the moment, Mike, but it possibly should.
Tuga's got to be there. You see Singapore, this is huge for them. A little early goalkeeper movement, scores it on the near post, wraps that game up really 2-0. They're going to see that out. And Portugal now is going to be at the bottom of Group C. And again, they're running out of time. And when you have a player with that much experience and he's got the leadership quality, he's got to be playing. I don't care about form or if he struggled a little bit in E-Club. That man's got to be controlling the action.
I'm sure he will after this because they are now at the bottom. They can't afford to be there for very long, Brandon.
No, they can't be, especially, as you said, with Tuga sitting on the sidelines. Just Israel making it 5 goals. And that's a full-time result now, by the way. Sweden looking a little bit worse for wear. Chance of Portugal comes in up in the league.
I think Portugal's in position too where they not only, I don't think they can afford any draws. They have to win out now. They're at 5 points. Yeah, the 9 there hits them at 14. Just based on what's already happened in this group, I think they need all those points to progress.
And you know who they play next? Spain. Portugal, Spain. Get the Oxford Dictionary up. Look up 6-pointer and you'll see a picture of this game.
You understand what I'm spitting. I'm just looking at results here. Turkey on 14, Brazil on 14, seeing out this game. Singapore, when they close out with Portugal on 10. You got 3 teams in double digits, and you got 3 teams not quite there yet. You're at that point. If you're not in that position, you have to win out if you want the 4th slot.
Quick question. Why could Sweden not find anything back against Israel this time out? Yesterday, they held them to a draw. 5-0
Good
today?
on them. Good on them. I'm telling you, Israel should have had more points yesterday.
Yeah, but Sweden obviously played well yesterday.
If you've played a lot of FIFA, it can be a landslide rather quickly. You go down a couple goals. In order to forge that comeback, you have to take that risk, and you're going to concede goals. Would you rather lose 2-0 or go for it and maybe lose by 4 or 5?
Well, hold that thought, Richard Buckley. I can see you're about to answer Mike's question, but Spen has some more interviews. Spen, I can't see who's behind you. Who have you got?
I have got the guys from Singapore with me here. Just picked up a big win against Portugal. They're into the double figures club now, 10 points. How many more do you need to secure progression?
I think we need 3 more points. That would secure qualification to the next round. Hopefully we are going to continue this form. Portugal was a tough game. I think the 3 points was very big for us, and hopefully we can secure enough points to go to the next round.
And would you take that now if someone said to you, look, I can guarantee you 4th place, you get through, or are you aiming a bit higher than that?
I'll just take it and go now.
Take it, take 4th place. I like the honesty. Listen, keep up the good work, guys. You're doing very well. 10 points so far for Singapore. We're going to head down the stairs now. I want to talk to the guys from Peru who've suffered back-to-back losses today, which leaves them on 6 points, but in a group where there's still time to get out of it. You've got India on 5 points, South Africa on 6 as well, so plenty of time. Hi there. So, back-to-back losses so far today. What do you need to change?
Now we're going to talk about the next matches. There are a lot of points going on. There are 9 points, so everything is open. Nothing's closed yet.
And you're obviously looking at the group, there's other teams that are on less points than you still, so you're still in a good position to progress.
Yeah, we know about that, but I think we can even get farther in the group.
Are we seeing any change up with your squad selection? You making any substitutions?
No, we're feeling comfortable with our picks. I think it's all about tactical change.
Okay, best of luck in the next game. We've heard from Peru there as well as Singapore. Let's see what happens in the next matches.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, Peru and Singapore very much still in with a chance of making it through to those knockouts tomorrow, and maybe they can learn a thing or two from Alex B, especially the team from Peru, because Alex is talking about Germany and they are in their group. Alex, what have the Germans been doing so well?
Well, they've very quietly been going against the radar. They've just been scoring goals, they've been performing, doing exactly what they need to do. So we're going to take a look and see how Umit and Levy are doing that. In this first goal that we are going to see, Germany, they just have that little bit of time. It's all about Mbappe drawing in that defender. The defender is now completely out of position. So take a little look at the man of R9, who's going to have that run and that time to go and run towards the box. He has that ability to drive. Now, he's a little bit isolated. He's kind of by himself here. He hasn't really got numbers with him. So it's all about what can you do, Levy? What can you do, Umit, in this area? Drawing in that man, and this is the position where the magic happens. You think about this at home. What are you thinking the opponent's going to do here? The little bit of the shimmy to look for the step over, you would normally go into this position. But it's all about duking out that opponent. The step over is just a feint to go the same way on that left foot, trusting R9. And it wasn't just that where we saw brilliant work done as well. We jump over to the game between Brazil and Australia. We're going to see something very different on this side. Klosterman is just going to drive into the space out on this right wing. If you can bring your fullbacks up into that area, you're going to give yourself so much more time and freedom to try and work up against that defence. The left mid doesn't stay all that way, and then Mbappe says, thank you very much, I'm going to have that space. This is the left back who is now out of position. Mbappe can say, look at this, I can go in towards that byline area and give myself all the time in the world. Now, Australia are wary of this. They're looking at it and going, okay, well, you want to pass to this man. And this is where PH Sin and Resende go, okay, we'll use that as bait, the step overs, that extra pass off across, and that is going to be one of the most loveliest goals you will see, just time and composure from that Brazilian team. Over to you, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Alex, and that's why he used to be called the FIFA analyst, because he does stuff like that and he does it very well as well. So thank you very much, Alex. I think that's, it's great, isn't it, to see the intricacies that each team do actually put out on display to just find the back of the net time and time again. And we saw it from two world champions there, Germany and Brazil. I mean, which one of those two, Mike, do you have in your locker a bit more?
I've been backing Brazil, so I'm going to stick strong to what I said at the start of the competition. But Germany's looking good. I'd love to see them make a run. Like, we keep talking about it, but it's one of those nations that comes into all the discussions. We talk about FIFA and esports, and I just don't think they've done what they should have done up to this point in the 2v2, at least not on this stage.
Germany, I'm going to say, are a little bit of better side yesterday as well. What do you think they've found to come out performing more like world champions today?
Oh, good question.
Because I feel they have, right?
Probably maybe sticking with the roster that they tried out yesterday. I mean, they mixed it around quite a bit yesterday. Dolomite came in more than we've seen. I think one thing on the Germany conversation as well, they've never really had a good E-Nations. And it's crazy to say, we sat there in FIFA 19 and Megabit and Mo Alba got grouped in FIFA 19. Last year wasn't that great either for their own standards. I feel like they've got a lot to catch up on.
That's what I was kind of getting to, is that for a nation that has such success stories in the FIFA esports ecosystem, it hasn't really happened on the biggest of stages, not in the 2v2s.
Well, if Daniel has anything to do about it, it will happen.
And it wasn't there back then.
Daniel's here now, and he was here last week as well, and he knows now what success tastes like, and when you've had that taste of success, you want it even more. Well, two teams that have had success in the past, but aren't experiencing that same level this time out as Spain and Portugal, currently sitting 5th and 6th. They're meeting each other in this next round. This one's tasty. It wasn't, though, tasty yesterday, was it?
I was just going to say, before Richard has his point, I was looking through the games yesterday. Round 3 yesterday, you had 3 0-0s.
Boring.
How is that
Sorry.
ever happened?
It's very different, though, today, because Spain have come and they know what they have to do. It's very simple. Win outright. If you can pick up performances and pick up wins, you have a chance to go through. And they've been scoring. They scored 1 goal yesterday. Today, it's been a very different story. The opening game against Singapore, they came out flying as they go into the second round and the second game. Again, just a different story. Mike, you've played in many a FIFA tournament. Do you ever have such drastic day 1 and day 2 performances? What's changed overnight? Because it's night and day.
It happens, and look at these goals. Do I see a bunch of skill moves? I don't. It's direct. They're making quick passes, and they're being decisive, and you need that if you want to have these types of success stories in competitive FIFA, and that's something that we did not see yesterday. They didn't put their opponents under pressure. They're probably going for a little bit too much of the perfect goal, the perfect pass, the perfect skill. We talked about it a little bit. Sometimes Neat gets carried away with that too because he's so talented. You'll see too many cancellations, too many extra skill moves, too many flicks and tricks and swerves and curves, but today they're keeping it simple and they're getting the results that are necessary, and they're starting to build a little bit of some momentum, and they could do it. I can't believe it, but they could do it. They're halfway there already. I said they need at least 4 wins. They got 2 of them.
Well, we saw Portugal and Tuga sit out yesterday, and we kind of said, was that because you were going up against Andoni? Andoni said, no, it wasn't, of course, but we keep calling for Tuga to be in now. Are we going to see that switch happen in this fixture, this one today?
The only time I've seen Tuga get subbed in mid-game was when they were 2-0 up in a match yesterday in their second round. He came on for a Tuga-esque, let's see the game out performance. I don't know why he hasn't been featured before that. Again, round 3, it could all change.
He has to rally the troops. You just got to get this team going. Believe in the style of play, believe in the nation. They're not going to need any extra incentive from Tuga, but if he's the one to be the catalyst, you've got to play from here on out.
And use him, hey, for your advantage if you are Portugal over Spain. He knows how Andoni works there, so surely you can find something going head-to-head with that Spanish side, which does, of course, have Andoni and Neat in it, who have very much got themselves back in contention to get a knockout spot for tomorrow. This are the 2 teams we've been talking about.
He's playing.
He's back in.
Tuga's in the hot seat of Jafonso.
That's exactly what he called for. He wanted to see it. They need him to play his best FIFA now, don't they, Team Portugal and Tuga?
This is their season. That would be back-to-back group exits for Tuga. And if they don't win this game against Spain, I don't think there's enough points available for them.
No, they're sitting on 5, aren't they? And Australia, well, Australia are on 7, aren't they, Mike?
Let's say they lose this game. We'll just play the hypothetical game, the permutation game, as Rich loves. They win the next 2, they're on 11 points. I don't think 11 gets you out of this group. That's where I'm sitting, because I already look at 14 with Turkey, 14 with Brazil, 10 with Singapore, and then you got 7, 5, 7. I just don't think there's enough points. You have to win this game.
You need Australia and Singapore, who are playing right now, to draw as well. If you've got any hope of Spain, Portugal getting out of this group, you have to have a draw. If Australia or Singapore, one of those 2 nations, win in this next game, it becomes ever more difficult.
Should we have
Portugal and Spain are underway?
Should we have predictions? Which one is going to get out? I'm saying one of them is going to get out, Spain or Portugal.
Well, I know Spain is backed by Richard, so I'm guessing he's off that way. I'm going to say I'll join him. I'll join Spain.
See,
I'm just going against that couch. Let's go ahead and make this more difficult, Portugal, because they got to win out. They haven't looked that impressive, but I'm not sitting on the couch to agree with Rich and Brandon right now. So we'll go against them. We'll make it interesting. But they have a lot to work on, a lot to showcase, and they haven't looked that impressive today. That's the reality. I'm going against the grain.
Well, here we go, underway. This is going to be our featured game, and we're going to stick on this as much as we possibly can. Australia and Singapore. Also, a very important fixture in Group C. whoever wins this game starts to pull away from the rest. Group D has a little bit of a story starting to take shape in the form of South Africa.
We'll be able to hear the shouts of Bafana from South Africa. They do lead by a goal to 0. 15 minutes on the clock against Peru.
I love that. Love that goal.
Start.
By stopping the ball there, it makes it where it's more of a 50-50 with the skill moves, and it also puts you in such a dangerous position offensively because your opponent kind of has to do some sort of guess and check, and you have all the creative freedom you could ask for, and South Africa is free-flowing, and Peru has been crumbling today.
And as much as I love South Africa, I'm sure they'll be great throughout this tournament. Whenever we can, Portugal, Spain is where we want to be. We have had another goal. But let's have a quick look between India and Sweden. Sweden have been in free fall today. They've really struggled to get anything going. Is it now time to turn their group standings around? Unfortunately for Swedish FIFA fans, it is not. India 1-0 up.
Olilito is in the hot seat now as well for Sweden. There's been a change there. We said after 2 defeats, surely there has to be. India win this game. They go to 8 points. South Africa and Peru both on 6 points as it stands right now. Are Sweden being dragged in to this battle near the bottom half now?
Yeah,
Yes.
the answer is definitely yes, isn't it? They're still only on single figures, 9 points, and they won't gain any if they. Well, I know it's a long way to go, 25 minutes on the clock. But if the result stays like it is, and Peru, well, they are down, aren't they, to South Africa? But if South Africa could jump and be equal on Sweden with 9 points, that's how it could be. So dragged into it, not to worry just yet. And Olilito is back in, so maybe they're going to have a bit more confidence there if he is 100%. Big if.
It's still early, but you need points in that game if you're Sweden. I'm looking at some of their upcoming matches. Also, Israel on 15, Germany on 14. They're pulling away. They're solidifying their position. And now it's kind of a battle between the other 4 nations for those additional 2 spots, or the remaining 2 spots.
And that'll be the first real shock exit of the FIFAe Nations Cup as well. This afternoon session, Group A and B, all 8 nations we pretty much predicted going through. There was a bit of a toss-up between Finland and the USA. It's a shock to Mike Lobel, it's not a shock to us. I think Finland, when I was speaking to Tuga actually earlier, he said a lot of the European nations are going through, and that's just through the sheer level of competition that people have to play in Europe, week in, week out, in the qualifiers and in the friendlies that a lot of nations do play in. That's why it's such a big surprise that Sweden are starting to stutter here. If they were to be eliminated, a semi-finalist last year at the FIFAe Nations Cup, big shock, as well as one of Portugal or Spain.
Well, and just Olilito and some of his personal success. We've seen E-Prem with Stokes, which is something you can bring into the equation. It's not quite the traditional 2v2 setup. You've also got the likes of him and Levy, back-to-back semi-finalists if you're dealing with the E-Club, also winning EA Sports Cup earlier this year. When you look at 2v2 pairings and Olilito as being a partner in those types of pairings, there's a lot of success stories there.
He's a good duo. He's a good 2.
He can clearly be adaptable. He can be a leader. He can pivot as needed amongst different styles of players, because both Ali Bali and Abtali are not similar when you're looking at what they generate on the virtual pitch. Ali Bali being a lot more structured, Abtali being that creative maestro type.
I was going to say we could jump into Australia, Singapore. It's almost at half time. That's obviously a vital game as well in this Group C, because they are the 2 teams that would go out if Portugal or Spain had a bit of a resurgence there. 0-0 then.
Are we
after
surprised?
45 minutes.
All
No.
3 games are 0-0.
No.
It's exactly what happened yesterday. I thought there might have been a couple of goals for the simple fact that there needs to be goals. Draws don't help Portugal or Spain. A draw doesn't help really Australia or Singapore at this stage either.
I get, I guess, quite intrigued about the Germany-Israel game as well. They're 0-0, and those 2 are top of the table in their group respectively. Israel still leaves Germany by a point, I believe it is. We're talking about Israel being so good. Well, we've got to talk about Germany now in the same breath then, don't we?
Most definitely. I mean, what they played yesterday, what was a difficult match between the 2 teams. They drew 1-1. The game's heading that same similar way at the moment, 0-0 at half-time. It's just ticked over. And I can just about see Either team's actually had one shot each so far, so a game that hasn't had many chances in it.
It's similar to the same story we were creating with Argentina and the Netherlands. They kept drawing, and Spain get a goal in that all-important fixture against Portugal.
Big goal and a big celebration from Andoni.
Well, you see what it means to them. Yesterday, they couldn't buy a goal. Today, they're getting a buy one, get one free. It's beautiful work down the end line, a little ball roll, the resurface, the extra pass. Again, there's nothing about the goals that they're scoring that is that innovative. They're not breaking the system, not as easy on the eyes, but they count. And they're being a lot more decisive. They're putting their opponents under a lot more pressure. And now for Portugal, this is your season. If you're Portugal, I can't believe that we're talking about this back-to-back tournaments where Portugal is likely to not make it out of the group stage.
And Portugal standards, what? 2 outings in the Nations, a top 4 and a top 8. It would be terrible if they were to be grouped here.
It'd also be so surprising. No one had this. But no one had Athletic Riders getting grouped last week. One leg doesn't suit this style of play. It really doesn't.
But you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adjust.
But when you've had 5 years of constant success, it's hard to adapt. It's very hard to adapt.
But that's why I'm not giving the excuse, because they've competed in these one-off games. They've been able to do it previously. There's more to this than just saying, hey, this format doesn't suit you the same way as playing a best of 2.
And they put a lot into it as well. You look in the pod, how many people are in that pod as well, supporting them. World champions in there, coaching them. They believe they can get through from how much they put behind this. And I'm just having a little look around as well. There's a lot of discussions going on now at half-time, and it's going to be a long pause at half-time, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, what, you've got Rodrigo, you've got Francisco Cruz, past FIWC champion, as you like to say, they're in the booth. Let's jump over to Germany against Israel. Still no change in the German side, still Umit and Levi Finn as it stands. However, they are 1-0 down against Israel, who are steamrolling ahead to top this group. Here's the goal they scored. And here's Roy Feldman and Yuval Belli, looking to make it 9 points from 9 on day 2.
That's lovely work. You see the La Croqueta into a cancellation with the shot finish. Just gives you a bit of a half second to kind of allow yourself to push the goalkeeper out of position.
Group C is getting very, very mixy, as you might say at home. Spain leading Portugal 1-0, and there has been a goal between Australia and Singapore. We said a draw doesn't suit any nation. We said a draw doesn't help any nation. Which way has it gone? Australia and Singapore, it has gone the way of the Aussies. Build up on the edge of the box. Slight rebound, just cut it back. Great feet as well, and Australia leads Singapore 1-0.
Couple quality step overs, and you see that reverse elastico, shifts the defense, easy finish after that, line it up, set it up, do the business. And the reason all this is so important, not only can Portugal not lose this game, I don't think they can draw against Spain either. They have to win the game. So I'm thinking 55th minute, and I'd love to see it back as one of the main features, because I think they're going home. I think we're saying farewell to Portugal if they're not able to forge some sort of comeback against Spain.
Follow this attack quickly.
Hey, I called it out. I told you to switch it. We got a goal in that game.
To nothing. We have had a goal in Portugal against Spain. We'll give it to you as soon as we can. There was a long, long break. That's one thing you can know about Portugal. They'll happily pause the game and enjoy the full 90 seconds, including at half-time. Portugal have scored, we are hearing. And here is the goal. They got them off their feet, roaring back in this game. I think you're absolutely right. Worst possible result in this game is a draw, especially if Australia or Singapore are going to pull away with 3 points.
I mean, when you start to look at the group, there's 9 points left to play for. A Singapore loss, an Australia win, 10 points Singapore, 10 points Australia. A draw puts Spain to 8, Portugal to 6. Portugal's still in a bad position. Portugal have to win this game.
That's what I just was saying, and that's I'd like this to stay as a focus match because I really feel this is an elimination game. I don't know that any of the other matches are at that point of magnitude. We're getting close. We're getting into the nitty-gritty, but if Portugal's not able to win this game, I don't even think a draw, like you said, does enough for them to put them in a position where they can control their destiny.
Well, Brazil, though, in that group, as we can stay with Portugal, Spain, though, Brazil have just got the opening goal there. Turkey and Brazil were on the same points, actually, Mike, heading into this match. And Brazil have just got the better of the side who were topping, actually, weren't they, heading into day 2, Turkey. Took a while for it to come, though.
We keep seeing that usage there. I wouldn't mind watching that goal if Alex has that lined up. You see Savic on the back post, love a knockdown. It's all about, again, understanding those matchups, taking advantage of them. And we see these knockdown goals being so effective, especially in a 2v2 format where you can synchronize and simultaneously move players.
And I don't want to say it was just a one-day performance, but Turkey are 9 points that they played today. They've only got 1. They did all the work on day 1, but...
And good on them, though. They put themselves in a position to push through.
But it leaves you in a very, very unsure situation of is it going to be day 1 Turkey or day 2 Turkey that turns up on the knockouts. That's the situation they find themselves in. I'd much rather, if I'm finishing on 15 points after the group, pick up 7 and 8 rather than 13 and 2 on my 2 days. I'd rather have a consistency level that's pretty balanced at a 7 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10 performance, and I know I've got a 2 out of 10 performance in my locker.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would hate to have such a bad day at the office on day 2.
Wow.
And then have to try and back it up.
Wow,
Mike, you've found some magic.
You might have heard some reactions in the room. This is going to be big for the Peru game. And it's going maybe a little against the grain, at least from what we've seen today. Peru, of course, facing off against South Africa. South Africa went up to start out the matchup, but Peru has been battling back. And they've just taken the lead in that affair as well. We'll see if we're getting a little bit of a highlight. I'm kind of watching the instant replay on one of our program screens here as we push back to the Spain and Portugal game. But as Rich was kind of hinting at, we're getting into building out these groups, and a lot of the teams that have needed results have gotten results, which just causes the drama to unfold in a way that's going to give us a bit of that soap opera type feel.
Well, India, they want a draw, don't they, in that game that Mike was just talking about with Peru and South Africa. That would massively benefit the side who are currently beating Sweden. Only 4 minutes left in that game as well, which is such a massive 3 points for India there, Brandon, if they were to be able to do that.
Massive. I think, look, the Peru-South Africa game is a 6 point within itself. Whoever wins that goes the same point tally as Sweden if they were to lose this game to India. This would put India on 8 points, so the group would basically look like from 3rd down to 6th. It would be Sweden and Peru both on 9. South Africa obviously at the bottom of the pile, and India on 8 points in 5th. So it continues to move around. Here's the goal that we're going to show you now from Peru that put them in the lead. We heard a massive roar, as we said, just in the corner of the studio. After being 1-0 down to South Africa early on, ball just pops in at the perfect time.
Left it light.
It's what you do with the finish. 6 minutes left to be played there. Are we looking for a big 3 points for Peru? We'll try and follow this one out. It looks like we've got a full time. India will beat Sweden by a goal to nil. That's 3 defeats in a row for Sweden.
And Sweden are now amongst it. Brandon just ran us through the maths there, but 1 point between three teams, 3 nations as it stands. 1 win between 3rd and 6th. If results go this way as well, it's going to get unbelievably tight and nervy in this last couple of games here. Nations will be getting eliminated. We're going to go down to the last game. I'm going to tell you right now. It didn't happen earlier on today, but I think we are, and it could come down to goal difference, head-to-heads, and all sort of tiebreaker situations.
What doesn't help them either, Rich, they've got to play Germany. Sweden have to play Germany in their last game today. Remember, there's still 2 more rounds to come after this one. India play Israel again.
Late corner.
Is it? A chance for Peru just to see this one out. They'll take every single second they can out of this one. Added time of 1 minute, get the ball clear.
Listen closely, I think we're going to hear a big reaction as Peru see this game out.
Job done. Peru, big points on the board. South Africa still on 6 points as it stands. Portugal, Spain, a draw doesn't do anything for either two.
Spain want a winner. They've been very dangerous in this sort of area, in around the box, attacking the byline.
And only need show us what you've got. Added time of 1 minute. Have to get the ball forward. We've played the added time. Perfect FIFA now from you two. If you want to keep your group stage and your E-Nations dream alive, or not. It's going to be 1-1. It was 0-0 yesterday. It's another draw again today.
It just doesn't help either nation. Spain take it more. Portugal, you've got 6 points left to play for. It might actually be out of your own hands at this point as well. They're going to have to hope that results go their way and they win out. Pick up 6 points and hope that Australia and Singapore start to falter in these last 2 games. Just so surprising. A nation that's so synonymous, a player that's so synonymous in getting through groups, getting the job done, falters 2 tournaments in a row.
And this is where you question, why is he not playing? You have to question it. There's a lot of games here where you can say, yeah, offensively they weren't doing what they should have been doing, but even with the substitutions, they still weren't generating the goals. They weren't generating the opportunities, and Tuchel wasn't playing. He went into coach mode, and I don't love that. He's a big reason that they got here, maybe the major reason. He's the guy that you build around. He should be playing all those matches.
Well, the script was very much written, wasn't it, heading in to the tournament for groups A and B. We predicted it, and it stayed as it was written as well. C and D, yeah, it's going any way possible at the moment. And India, they just got a massive, massive 3 points over Sweden there. And they must be absolutely buzzing, Spen, in that camp.
Yes, well, I'm here with the India guys. How are you feeling after that big win against Sweden?
We feel really great because at the start we were quite confident about our journey, even though day one was not as we expected it to be. But we are at least happy that we are starting to show the abilities we have, and we could get the result against a very strong Sweden side.
Yeah, up to 8 points now. It's a very tight group. You know, you've got Peru and Sweden just ahead of you in 9. By beating Sweden, you kind of brought them back into that race to still qualify. And you've got South Africa just behind you on 6. What is the aim for today?
Aim is to get out of the groups and reach the knockouts, obviously. But we've got Israel up next, so we are not getting carried away after a big win against Sweden. So we know we've got, we need at least 2 more wins, is what we think will help us qualify. So we are looking forward to our game against Israel. At the same time, we are now a bit more confident compared to what it was yesterday.
It's pretty much as tough a game as you could hope to have in the next game. Israel are unbeaten. They're the only unbeaten team left now in the E-Nations. And, well, they've just drawn 3 games and they've won everything else. What's the plan? How are you going to do what no one else has been able to do and beat Israel?
I mean, we do have a plan. Hopefully, we could show it to you in the game. We did surprise Sweden by making a few changes, obviously change in the starting 2 and also the team we played. So we've got a plan. Hopefully we can fulfill what we have discussed and maybe surprise them and give them their first loss.
I won't ask you to tell me the plan now, but afterwards maybe if it's a win I'll come back and you can tell me what it was. But I like that India backing themselves after that win in the last game against Sweden. Not scared to change things up, make substitutions. And funnily enough, the team they're playing next is the guys I'm talking to next, which is Israel. A very happy booth right now for good reason. 18 points with 2 games to go. I don't know if you know this or not, but you could actually get the highest points total of anyone in the last 2 tournaments. If you win the next 2 games, you have 24 points. No one's done that yet. And no one's got a whole group stage unbeaten. Is that the target now?
Yeah, of course. As I said to you tomorrow, I'm really confident about our play style. We switch duos all the time, as you can see. Sometimes me and Yuval playing, sometimes Yuval and Nassim playing, and I think that's our biggest advantage, that we have really 2 good duos that can play every single time. And yeah, we want to finish as high as possible.
Do you think that's the secret to success at E-Nations and 2v2 tournaments in general, is having that extra player that can come in and actually make a difference, where sometimes we see teams quite scared maybe of making a change and they only stick to their same 2 players?
Yeah, I think that the fact that we have one player outside who is actually always really good and ready to come in if there is any, help needed. As I said to you, it's really big advantage because a lot of nations have only 2 players and we have 3, and we use all the 3. So it's not that, one do playing all the group stage and one game we call the other one. We just always do changes, so all the 3 players will be really in form all the time.
It's not guaranteed, but it's looking like you're probably going to win the group now. Is that going to give you a little bit more confidence going into the knockouts? We know we're going to see you tomorrow, whatever happens, and maybe a nicer draw due to the seeding.
Yeah, our goal right now is just to finish first, as you said. As you know, this E-Nations, like the squad, has been drafted, so we want to finish first, have the first choice in draft from the eliminated teams, and that's what we want to do.
Fantastic stuff. Well, listen, you're doing so well. Keep it up, guys. Very, very impressed by Israel so far. And that's something we probably haven't touched on enough. Maybe when we get into the knockouts, we'll ask some more players about it. But is the draft process and the fact that some players will become available once they get out of the groups?
Yeah, thanks so much, Spen, there. We were talking about that, weren't we, as well here, about the fact that they've got 3 really, really strong players and that ability to rotate the players in and out as they please. And no one's the weak link there, are they, for that Israel squad?
No, everyone deserves to be there, and I think it's great that Rory can sort of stand there as the captain and say, we're happy to continue changing it. When they get to the knockouts, I'll be interested to see if that pattern continues, because I don't think it will, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and we heard from India as well. They go up against Israel next. They said they've got a plan. They need to have a plan. They lost, didn't they? 6-0 yesterday. Let's have a look, though, at some of Israel's goals so far. They've had so many. I mean, you need to count them here, Brandon. I can't remember how many we've seen already today. 4 in their opening matchup today. And then we had them going to 5 against Sweden, didn't we, Mike?
Yeah, we're going to be here for a minute. And I was going to say, even off of India, they have a secret plan they didn't want to share with you. As you see, goal on goal on goal from Israel, and a variety as well. You're whipping in crosses, you got some of the skill moves, you got quick passing, they're working the end lines. I love the La Croqueta into the cancellation with the finish. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing that again from maybe Alex. I know he's been setting up a bunch of clips. I don't want to steal your send over to him, but there's quite a few different goals from that round that I think are really interesting from the competitive side, and some of the details that really make a big difference, that separate players that are intermediate to players that are advanced to players that are advanced to even being a pro player.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we had 10 goals in the end from Israel today. They conceded just 1 as well. We did have a great goal as well from South Africa early on. We thought that may have given them the lead, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, as they did get pegged back by Peru. But Alex does have that opening goal, I believe, from that fixture. Alex, I'm going to sit back, because I believe you have a few different analysis bits to bring us. So I think I can put the microphone down and hand it over to you.
Well, yeah, everyone get their notepad and pen out and strap yourselves in, because we're going to go over a few goals and moments of magic from multiple teams here at the FIFA E-Nations. Let's jump into the first goal, though, for South Africa. This was all about being aggressive in that press. You can see immediately Van Dijk is up against Pogba, making it really uncomfortable for Peru to play out. A difficult pass for Pogba to receive from his teammate of De Ligt. Van Dijk wins that ball on that big press, and then watch how Van Dijk constantly makes this run into that area. If you can put numbers into the box, you're going to give yourself those chances. Now we have an opportunity where we have 2 players, Van Dijk there, and at the top of the screen, Pogba. What does that mean for Mbappe? Well, it means you've got options. You can go for a pass, top side, bottom side, take your pick. However, this is where Bianchi and Caden are a little bit different. They can use them as bait, and instead they'll go for that elastico and just take that shot. A brilliant, brilliant finish. Unfortunately, though, for South Africa, Peru came through with that victory. Into our next game, we saw Portugal and Spain. Spain looking a little bit different today with what they have given us in that attacking area, being quicker, being more precise and more direct. Same time again, if you remember in that last analysis, we saw the same thing from Spain. They look for that pass into that middle, and this is where so many players are expecting the ball to maybe come into this sort of area. And that's exactly what Portugal do. They give that space back in that area for that reverse ball to come back into Henry. Now it still looks, for Portugal, a pretty good position. You've got Henry on that edge of the box. You've got your defensive line where you need to be. You've got 5 inside the box with your defenders, and then your 2 midfielders sitting deep. And this is where we know Neat and Andoni, they can excel in that area. Henry just driving it past the man, a beautiful, beautiful goal. But Portugal weren't done just yet on that. They wanted to bounce back and put up a big fight. We saw Tuga come in, and they did that as well. Musiala out on that right wing. Klosterman just couldn't sort that feet out. And this is the difference that we're seeing a little bit more direct as well from Portugal. They're saying, we're not going to try and overcomplicate this. We're not going to go back. We're just going to see that space in front of us, and we are going to look to drive. The step over is one of the most simplest skill moves for you to use on FIFA 23, and that way Van Dijk and Lloris just can't get there. And then, yes, Mike, you mentioned it, we're not going to miss this goal. This is the one that I was waiting for. For yourselves at home, 2v2, this is where you can have so much advantage using players like Milinkovic-Savic, Petr Cech, anyone with height at that back stick. If you can isolate up against a player that maybe isn't the same sort of stature as Milinkovic-Savic, you are going to win that. Look at him just lurking there at that back stick. Make sure you don't go for that shot though. It's going to be very difficult for him to get that header off there and shoot. So what do you do instead? You try and look for a simple layoff to someone else. And that's exactly what Brazil did, towering over the defender, and then Mbappe with the step overs, time and time again, proving to be a lovely treat. So some fantastic goals, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Back over to you, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks so much there, Alex. There were so many goals that we were treated to, and your breakdowns are absolutely fantastic, as well as we saw a couple of those. But the table toppers in Group C, Brazil, are looking pretty confident so far. They go up, though, don't they, against Spain next. Spain, how are they feeling about that one? I'm sure they're less worried than our Spanish side.
Yeah, it's a positive mood here. I think they especially like just watching their goal back on the big screen there. 3 wins in a row today, only 1 defeat so far. I feel like, weirdly, considering you're Brazil and you're the current champions, you've kind of gone under the radar a little bit, because we've been talking about how Israel are undefeated still in the other group, but that's quite a good way to be, isn't it? Slowly, quietly doing your thing, 17 points, looking very good.
Yeah, I think yesterday we played good, but of course we could be better always. And today we are doing very well. And for the next games, we'll be the same.
Talk to me about the privilege you get from representing Brazil, you know, nationally, and also maybe the pressure that comes with that, because it is such a famous football country, such a hard country to get to represent. You know, so many great, talented people in Brazil, and the fact that you're the reigning champions as well just makes it even more pressure, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think we have an experienced squad here, so we are here for all the games that we're gonna play, and that's it. We don't have any pressure here.
Okay, nice and relaxed from the guys in Brazil. Listen, we know you're going to make it out the groups now. It's just a case of whether Turkey could potentially catch you, but the odds are slightly against them. Have you started to think about tomorrow and who you might play?
I think if you are in tournaments like that, you cannot choose opponents. You just need to be focused in our gameplay, and I think we are, and we are ready for our opponents that we're going to play against.
Great stuff. Keep up the good work. Keep scoring goals like the one we just saw on the big screen, and I'm sure they'll be doing very well. Could they even be back-to-back champions?
I'd absolutely love to see that. I'm sure the whole couch would as well. Spen, Aggie's just joined us again. Aggie, the question that Spen just asked Brazil there was, do they like to go under the radar, or they like to be kind of, I guess, talked about as much as we are Israel? How did you used to like being?
I mean, it's a mixed combination, but because as a player, you always want to get that recognition, you want to get that attention, but on the other hand, it also means for some added pressure, so it's a hard balance, but I think we should definitely not overlook Brazil. Obviously, they've been performing for quite a while now, so I think they'll win that group.
It gives you the confidence, doesn't it, being talked about, but sometimes in the groups you like just to fly under the radar until it gets to crunch time tomorrow, of course. Well, let's just remind everyone at home of the standings in Group C and D, with only 2 more matches to go. 6 maximum points available for all these sides competing then. Brazil, we just heard from them, going under the radar slightly, but still topping the table. Turkey then did top the table coming into today, have now dropped to 2nd. And Australia and Singapore are trying to chase down a few more points to keep in the top 4, which does guarantee you automatic qualification for tomorrow. Spain and Portugal still struggling. Spain then go up against Brazil. Portugal go up against Australia. Group D then, Israel, we've been talking about them a lot. They've only actually got 1 more point than Brazil. They're sitting ahead of Germany on 14. Then I don't really know what to call or what to make of this. Sweden, Peru, India and South Africa all still in with a chance. This is going to go down to the wire, just as the games start as well for our 4th round of fixtures today and the 9th round for all these sides. 6 points, I've just said, maximum available for these last 2 fixtures. Is anyone going to get the maximum points, or are they going to drop them left, right and centre? Points needed for Spain and Portugal, crucial points needed for those. Spain then taking on Brazil, and Sweden, Peru. Sweden then again. Aggie, I'll bring you on this one as well. You've been watching, I'm sure, behind the scenes. Sweden now have Ololito back in. Haven't managed to find something here today.
I think it's a very different day for Sweden compared to yesterday. Obviously, didn't get a good start at day 2 here, but with 3 players like them, the 3 Ollies, surely they're going to find a way. They're just too solid to not to. Maybe they want to feel a little bit of that pressure here because it's been sloppy today.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it? They haven't found anything today, but in the same group, someone who's found quite a lot of the German side as they get an early goal here, Rich.
Yeah, no real surprise. Granted, there could have been a late resurgence for South Africa, but Germany, Levi, Finn and Ummet, they've played all the matches today and they've been pretty outstanding, it's got to be said. As for Sweden, they've gone back to the duo that they ran for the majority of games so far. Ololito has stepped out and Optol and Oliboli back in the hot seat. Portugal versus Australia. This is where my attention is going to be. If Australia beat Portugal, they are 99% in. And it also means Portugal...
They're clear. They're
pretty
clear,
much
13 points.
But they're
99% out.
Yes, that on the other side.
Okay.
So it's a huge game, but one nation that won't lie down is Portugal. Tuga is back in. Tuga doesn't like being grouped, and him and Jafonso lead 1-0.
And the reality is, across the board here, we have some matchups that are going to be deciding here. Germany going against South Africa. South Africa has to win that game if they want to make a push into Group D. Sweden, I would say they're a must-win portion as well, going up against Peru, because their last game is up against Germany. And we know that taking points off Germany hasn't been easy, and Sweden's been out of form. You don't want to leave things up to that last result.
Well, I think this is going to be mission impossible for South Africa, because, look, they play Germany now. They're 2-0 down within 40 minutes. And then next game, they have to play against Israel. So for South Africa, maybe too big of a mountain to climb. Over to Peru against Sweden now. Sweden 3 games in today, 0 points collected so far. They are desperate to pick something up against Peru, who are also on 9 points too, as it stands.
But they still control their destiny. They just have to win this game. This is a decider for both Peru and Sweden in terms of the likeliness of them getting through Group D.
Got a huge game currently taking place between Spain and Brazil. Brazil are in. Great finish there from Sweden. It has to be said, we just saw the back end of that goal. They've had a lot of pressure on them today, but when it matters most, picking up points, Sweden look to be. Spain and Brazil. Brazil are through. Brazil are flying, just looking to top the group. Spain must win. If Spain aren't picking up 3 points, could be one game too soon.
And maybe one game too many for Ololito. He's subbed back out on the bench again, Aggie, so maybe that illness is getting the better of him. And yeah, going back to the pairing we've seen quite regularly feature over the last 2 days.
Yeah, but maybe they just decide to go back and stick to what worked kind of yesterday for them, or at least got the points that they needed yesterday.
It did work. I think you can say it worked yesterday.
Exactly, and they're winning now as well, so maybe that's what they're going to stick to for now. I'm sure they're going to bring in Ololito again, because he's a brilliant player and important for the team, but in these situations here, it's just natural to think that, okay, Optole and Oliboli got the points yesterday, let's just go back to that, back to basic.
Well, when you're struggling as well, sometimes you just go towards repetition. Who's played the most? Can they bounce back? We just had a significant break, which I also feel plays a factor. If you're not playing that well, that 10, 15 minutes, whether it's a bathroom break, a team talk, just not being as focused in the game can allow you to kind of gather your thoughts. And it makes it where it doesn't feel as if you're going back to back after a bad loss, after a bad loss, after a bad loss, because that's kind of been the theme of Sweden today, is they have not gotten any points on the board.
And Oliboli and Optole, of course, have played a lot in club competition together, so they're a partnership that we know very well, and they know each other very well as well.
Well, there's been a goal in the Germany game against South Africa. We said it was already a bit of a mountain to climb. That mountain becomes even bigger now. 30 minutes in, we said, if Germany found their duo. I think they have now. Ummet and Levy Finn looking superb here in day 2. There's also another game that I want to keep a close eye on because it can tell the story in that group. Singapore against Turkey, mainly because if Singapore win, with how Australia are losing currently as it stands also, it just shakes things up even more so.
We've only got 6 points left to play for as well, and the gap, Portugal to Singapore is 4 points. Portugal to Australia is 4 points. Spain to Singapore is 2 points. Whoever wins in this next round almost seals their fate. If Singapore get a win against Turkey, they're in. If Australia can pick up a win, they're in.
To make this more
it's
simple,
in your own hands.
To make this even more simple, basically, Portugal can only attain maximum 6 points, and they're only at 6 points, so 12 total. And if Singapore or Australia get the win, as Rich was saying, they'd be on 13. So that guarantees at least going through. There's not enough points available for the guys that are chasing you. Spain has to forge some sort of upset here against Brazil. That's also the reality. We're just running out of time.
The difference that could play a factor with Australia not picking up any points, Spain drawing at the moment, Spain play Australia in the last game. So that could be a direct swap. That could be a direct switch over. Whoever wins gets the spot.
I'm hearing what you're putting down. I'm not mad at that, or I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm understanding what you're saying. It's not Darwin's theory, it's Rich's hypotheticals.
He loves them,
I'm
doesn't
gonna write a book.
He loves them.
Permu Rich.
Well, it's
I don't think that worked.
It's good so far, isn't it?
Let's
And
try
Spain can hold Brazil to this draw for as long as possible, and then maybe come out the last kind of minutes of the game. We've seen that happen quite a lot, especially when it comes to this time in the competition.
We should say with that potential situation when you're dealing with Spain and Brazil, other results in this same round matter for that to potentially work. You need some helpers.
This matters.
100%. A draw here. I mean, Turkey are in. They're in. I don't want to say they're not really playing for much because they want to win every game, but they're not. Like, they're in. They can't drop out, but they're probably not going to catch Brazil either. Like, they're just seeing their games out. You probably want to play Turkey, in all honesty, in that last game where there's not that much on the line for them still to play for.
Yeah, Spain and Portugal here want Turkey to do them a favour, really, don't they? And take points from Singapore.
Well, it hasn't been great, has it, from Turkey today? 1 point from
very
9. We keep saying about it, this storyline of the group stages. Day 1, you could be terrible. Day 2, you could be great. Or day 1, you could be so good that you pretty much get the job done. Then day 2, you come and you get 1 or 2 points, and that's enough to get you through.
That's a similar storyline, isn't it, to Sweden? They are currently leading just as we start in the second half for them against Peru. First time we've seen them in that driving seat today, Rich.
Yeah, and a much needed victory as well, just to get themselves back on the horse, really, and just a bit of confidence going. A nation that we've spoken a lot about today, Israel, we've not mentioned in this last round. That's because they're drawing 0-0 against India. I think India have kept Israel to the longest period where they've not scored a goal, and should be very proud of their own achievements as well. India, every single game they've been in, they've been competitive. They've just not been able to capitalise on some of those performances.
I mean, this is great considering we had 6 go past India yesterday in the same fixture. If they can keep it to a draw, this is one of the best performances that anyone has had against the Israeli team. I don't want to talk too much about it now because I feel like the commentator's curse will come into play because I'm willing India to do well here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better, as you said, than their 6-0 defeat yesterday. There's been a goal in a really important game, Spain against Brazil. I'll give you the lowdown on that one. Remember, Spain fighting for a top 4 place. Brazil were just trying to continue this form to top the group, and they shall do exactly just that. Keepers on the floor. Everyone's on the floor. The ball's bouncing around. It's very fortunate, but Brazil are going to take the goal all day long.
I love the build-up. Don't necessarily love the finish. Gets a little scrappy there in the box, but the fake body feint where you don't change your direction is just another one of those maneuvers that you can introduce that baits players out of position. You can make somebody jump, make somebody react, push some instincts, And it also reminds me of the throwback FIFA days.
Just call it the lapel special. I know exactly what you're referring to.
Oh my goodness, what a finish. And if you're a Spanish fan, that hurts. That hurts here. We also have, just to go around what's happening alongside some of these matches, Portugal beating Australia now gets even more interesting. We've tried to write them off on multiple occasions, but they're kind of hanging on here. We've got Singapore and Turkey tying or drawing 1-1, which would, in theory, then give Singapore 11 points if it stays this way, but still gives Portugal a lifeline depending what happens in that final game.
It's huge implications. There has been a big goal here in Group C. It's between Turkey and Singapore. Which way has this goal gone? It's going to have ripples across the entire group, and it's gone to second place Turkey. Singapore, as it stands, will be taking 0 from this matchup. They'll be stuck on 10 points, and Turkey will edge closer to the top. There is maths to be done, and Mike LaBelle is going to take us through it.
Hey, hold on. Rich, the permutation man, I'm just going to start making up new words to go with this. Is it possible, I think that it is, that Singapore and Australia go out and that Portugal and Spain flip with them?
Spain would play Australia in the final game.
And
a
Australia's
straight
losing
win puts them on
currently.
11 points.
A straight win will flip them.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And Portugal play Turkey in the final round. Portugal would need to win. Singapore play Brazil. Brazil would need to win.
It's likely that Brazil wins that game.
However, we've had a goal.
Okay, tell me more.
It's between Brazil and Spain. Brazil were leading 2-0. The Spaniards will not go quietly. They find a goal back in this game. It's now 2-1, and Spain, even a draw. I know we've said this a lot over the last couple of weeks, that draws mean nothing. A draw means a lot in this game now.
I cannot believe the potential scenario that we're in. I think I heard Swedish behind me. I don't speak any Swedish, but I know what it sounds like, and I think they had a penalty from the Sweden game. Have they doubled their lead? Did they convert that penalty? This would also solidify position for them, even on an off day. It would allow them to push through. They haven't been in form. It hasn't been clicking. The collaborations and the substitutions really haven't been working that well. But at the end of the day, they only needed 1 win due to how they performed yesterday. Or they only needed very few points, is what we should say. Here's well, we're going back into the Brazil-Spain. I thought we might get a glimpse of the penalty. Either way, it was converted, and it allows Sweden to be in more of the driver's seat. And again, 12 points in that group, based on what's been happening, should push them through.
Group D is going to have an unbelievable round 5 if it stays the same as well, because Peru will take on India. This win will take Sweden on to 12. Israel.
Spain! Sorry, Brandon. Spain are in! Spain, 2-2. Don't count the Spaniards out. Wow.
What is going on?
Well, they go level, don't they, now with Singapore and Australia as well. They go over it, actually, don't they? Level. 9 points the Spanish side get. 10-10 is Australia and Singapore, because they are losing both the games there. Yes, they are. Portugal will jump up to 9.
As it stands,
they'll be the same, Rich.
Unless Spain turn this game around, it's a very simple last round for Spain and Australia. Whoever wins gets the spot. And that is where we're at. Portugal still have a little bit of work to do. They are leading 1-0 against Australia at this current moment. Brandon, very quickly, you're saying Peru and India are basically in a playoff.
I'll try you the lowdown. As it stands right now, Israel will top the group. 21 points after this result currently. Germany will be on 17, Sweden on 12, Peru will be on 9, India remain on 8.
The Aussies!
Every time I'm talking about Group D, there's more drama back in Group C.
What is happening? We talked about Group A and B. They followed the book. They were by the book. Well, this time around, we're in the clouds. We're dealing with dreams. This is what dreams are made of. You can't choose it. Everything's back and forth. Every goal that matters does shift the group again. We've got so much math going on. Rich has 2 pens.
Got 12 tabs open.
I don't know what's happening.
I I feel like we just keep saying things and it changes, so we're just not counting numbers until we get to the half-time.
Well, you have to. We got to play the game. They're calculating, we're calculating.
But then we keep getting it wrong, and I get it wrong, and you get it wrong.
No, we're putting hypotheticals, so we're not wrong. They're potential scenarios based on results that have not finished.
Well, it's back to a point then for Portugal and Australia. That's right at the moment, for maybe the next 2 minutes, Mike.
South Africa have just got a goal. We won't show you it. The score is 3-1 to Germany still, but that goal could do something on the goal difference, potentially, of how these games shall end. Turkey still leading Singapore by a goal to nil. Added time to come in this one. Any second now, are Turkey about to see this one out, or double the leads. They have the last chance of the game. 1 minute added time. It should be. Adding another 3 points onto their tally in Group C. South Africa have just scored again. 3-2. There's 2 minutes left in that one.
Maybe we want to see that now, Brandon. We said we didn't want to
Let's
see it earlier.
Let's jump over to it. 2 minutes left, 88 minutes on the clock if we can join it live. Germany, South Africa. Turkey have just banged a second on the last kick of the game. Singapore now, as you can see, they know that there's so much to play for still. Well, South Africa, as we said, scored 2 goals. This was the first one they scored. 84 minutes on the clock. Lovely little cancel fake shot inside.
Give us the Spain-Brazil game. 3-1 Germany, they're going to wrap that up. Give us the Spain versus Brazil game.
It's 3-2 though, Germany, South Africa. That's why
They
it got
still need
exciting.
to turn it. They need to win it. This is the situation. We got 10 minutes left.
We need Portugal as well.
We need Portugal's on the pause screen. We know Portugal
South
loves the
Africa's going
pause.
to finish first. So let's go South Africa, Germany. 88 minutes on the clock.
But
We
a
can
draw
go there.
doesn't do anything for South Africa,
It
does
does do a lot for their round 5 game.
Sorry, production. Because Sweden's in double digits.
Yeah, there's a 4th place still to play for.
Oh my goodness.
8 minutes remaining. Spain were 2-0 down. They've battled their way back into the game.
Forget South Africa, forget them.
2-2. Do we have a late winner here for Spain? Building up on the edge of the box. Ball surely going to go out wide. Just try and recycle. Fired in field. That pass is weak, but they'll press for the second ball, and Brazil will bring it clear. So that was full-time. Germany 3, South Africa 2. That's a result. Sweden leading 2-0 against Peru. That's got a decent bit of time left, 12 minutes. We'll stick on this game because it's going to end first.
India have just equalised as well in Group D. That will put them on 9 points and Peru on 9 points. And Peru play India in round 5. Stay with this one for a split second. Spain against Brazil, as we said. Spain were 2-0 down in this game. They came back into it. And they're going to get the last chance of the match.
1 additional minute. Got to go forward. They're being robbed of possession. It's getting a little bit scrappy, and Brazil will bring it clear.
There's a cross
with
there.
a chance to hand. Potentially the break Spain hearts. Cut back. They find a goal. Brazil will take all 3 points. And as that goal has just gone in, there has been a seismic shift in Group C because Portugal versus Australia. Australia just gone 2-1 up. They're not leaving it to the last round.
I can't quite believe what we're witnessing here, and neither can Spain.
So they're hearing my voice right now, telling them Australia are winning with 10 minutes left to go.
Brazil are loving life on your screens right now. We're going to jump back over to this matchup between Portugal and Australia. 9 minutes left on the clock. We'll jump backwards a little bit though and see this second.
Oh my days.
This second goal for Australia, Mike.
Beautiful extra pass. There's been so many shifts, turns, narrative switches, moments, points, calculations. Richard Buckley's.
We've got to show you this moment. We've just got to show you what's happened in this India-Israel game. If we can show you all the highlights from it. India equalised. Remember, that would have put them on 9 points alongside Peru. Remember, they played Peru in the last game. There was also more drama in that game, in the last kick of the game. There was a penalty given away from India. Israel had a chance to win that game. We'll give you the lowdown on what happened in it.
As it currently stands, Australia would go to 13 points. Spain, 8. Portugal 6. This would be it. This would how it would wrap up. The only team, Australia would be in. Spain would be battling for Singapore for 4th. This is Australia booking their place into the knockouts with a victory.
They said they wanted one win and a few draws.
A bit more than that.
Chaotic. That's because we were so calm here, weren't we, in the studio earlier on this morning with groups.
Portugal.
I beat Portugal. Go on,
That's
leave
it.
with you. Oh, Portugal lose that one then. Australia, fist pumps all around for the team from down under as Sweden take 3 points from Peru. Peru then sitting in 4th on the same amount of points as India. They drew that tie with Israel there. That was a massive result for them after losing 6-0 yesterday, Brandon, and then just being able to save the penalty that Israel just put straight down the middle into the keeper's hands.
Yeah, you didn't see it. 90th minute of the game, Israel had a penalty basically to take the extra point away. They saved it 90th minute. What a chance it was. India against Peru will be a round 5 fixture in Group D.
I mean, look, just look at the screens. That says 1,000 words there, doesn't it?
What's out?
Portugal, 6 points is all they managed to get on over 2 days here of national football, and you know, it's heartbreaking. I know they're listening to us here, Brandon, as well. So
I mean, I know they're listening to us, but this is a team that got top 4 in FIFA 19, top 8 last year in Copenhagen. What on earth has gone wrong there?
This is 2 tournaments in a row in which Tuga has been involved in, and has been the captain of, in which they've been grouped.
He's got to play World Cup in a week. Not even a week.
Less than
let's not think about that. Let's think about Australia, who have just got a big
Incredible.
big 3 points in it. We'll see them through. I'm pretty sure spend 2 tomorrow. Again.
They've done it again, yes. I'll be honest, Mark, last week when you said that you don't get grouped, I thought that's a pretty bold statement, especially as you're coming back next week. But it's true, you don't get grouped.
Yeah, I hope I don't jinx it for next week, but for now we're playing very well. I'm happy that we made it to tomorrow.
And you were involved in some crazy games that were going on there at the same time. The table was constantly changing, but you've made it through with a game to spare. You've got to be very proud.
Yeah, my first E-World Cup, and at the start we were confident we can easily make it out of groups. Now I'm confident we can go all the way, to be honest.
And what does coach Mark and player Marcus think? You've been watching these boys, you've been helping them. How's it been so far?
Oh, it's been great. We've come here and a bit of a reality shock playing against all the European teams, but we know we could hold our own. We've made some tactical changes. The boys are on board, and it's paid dividends. So we'll see you in the knockouts tomorrow.
You're going to ditch the underdogs tag now?
Oh, I don't think we were the underdogs ever. I mean, obviously there's some big names in here in this group, but we've got a super duo, so we can go all the way.
They can go all the way. You heard it here first. Well, very good work from Australia. We're going to go down the stairs now. I want to talk to the guys from Germany, who've also been very impressive these last 2 days. Of course, they've got Umut as part of their team, who was victorious in the E-Club World Cup just a few days ago. And I'm going to try and grab a chat with him here, if I can squeeze into the German booth, please, lads. Right, you've got to be very happy. You've got 17 points, only Israel ahead of you. Decent day's work so far.
Yeah, we play really good. We lost 1-0 to Israel. I think it was a little bit unlucky, but still they played really good, and I also think that they deserved it.
How's the experience differed from the E-Club World Cup in terms of obviously teaming up with your compatriots from Germany rather than Anders, who you won with last week?
Of course, it's different, and we didn't practice a lot because I also did practice with the Anders. So it was like really quick, and I think we still played really good. Me and Dolan and me and Levi also. And in the next match, we will try to play with Dolan and Levi as first time in this tournament.
It's great that you'll be able to mix up the team and get everyone involved. Looking ahead to the knockouts, got to think if there's chance of a match against Denmark, that would be quite interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course, it would be crazy to play now against my teammate Anders. I think in the first rounds it's not possible, but maybe in the second or in the semi-final it would be really, really good to play against each other, and yeah, let's see.
Let's see indeed. Well done, guys. Really good work from Germany. The whole team there doing fantastic. We have 1 round of fixtures left. A couple things still to decide, as well as, of course, seeding, which could be very important indeed.
Well, Umut there looked so chill, didn't he? Looked like he was just sitting in his living room, not playing in a world championship, just arms crossed, chatting to Spencer with absolute ease there. Well, that's because they're sitting in second, but ahead of them is Israel, of course, on 19 points. We're just held to a draw by India. Brandon kept bringing up the penalty. We're going to get a chance to revisit that now. Really kept India's hopes of qualifying alive, didn't it, Brandon?
That point is massive going into this last game, as we said, against Peru. This is the moment that they gave the penalty away. It was literally the last kick of the game. And then for Israel, we normally see you pick a left top corner or right corner, went straight down the middle. India gets the right way. An extra point on the board heading into this round 5 match.
Yes, this is exciting for the team, for India. But let's continue then talking about Israel, because Alex has a couple of moments from them to break down. Alex?
And see exactly what they've been doing. Obviously, we mentioned it earlier on at the top of that group, and they've been scoring goals. They're averaging 2.7 goals per game right now. So we're going to show you what is it exactly that they're doing to score so many goals. Now, first of all, we want to draw your attention to the bottom of the screen and take a look at that mini-map. You can see how we have so much room with that 5 at the back position for you to go ahead and look for that switch of the ball. From wing-back to wing-back, it can generate so much space. Ruslan looks for that switch of the ball, and then what we have to take note of is that man in the middle of your screen right there, Savic. How do we get him to run? We tap that L1 button in the direction of Savic, and then he is going to run in towards that 18-yard box. And for India, they spot this. They're aware of this. Take a look at Van Dijk. You can see him straight away already getting very, very careful of that man running into the box. It's all about that timing of when you go for that cross. Savic is just about to penetrate on that defensive line. The switch off back from Van Dijk for India means that he's just going to be free in that 18-yard box. I don't really know if it makes a difference just because of the leap and the strength that Milinkovic-Savic has, but that is one of the reasons on why this team have been scoring so many goals in this tournament. We're going to throw it over to Spencer now, who is with Portugal.
Thanks, Alex. Yes, I'm with Francisco, not only Portugal coach, but of course a former world champion himself. Francisco, I'm sure it's a mood of disappointment right now here in the Portugal camp.
Yeah, that's not what we want, but the competitive FIFA is like this. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, so that's it.
Anything you think could have gone differently? Any decisions that could have been made different?
I think everyone could do different decisions, me, the players, and I just have to say that I take my full responsibility, because all I asked to the players, they did. They were exceptional, so that's it.
Well, listen, well done. Let's not forget, it's a huge achievement to get here in the first place. Many countries didn't even make it this far. Portugal have very high standards, so I'm not surprised by the fact that they're disappointed. But of course, you'll be back, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Tugu, of course, will be back as well. We've got one more game to play, it's worth saying. But next week as well, we're going to see him in the FIFA E-World Cup, where he could win, of course, again. But obviously disappointed over here in the Portugal camp right now.
Yeah, and obviously another camp that's disappointed is Spain as well. They also have really high standards, and one more shot at it. This is a massive, massive fixture as well for them. It's against Australia. This is one of the biggest ones, I'm going to say, in Group C. That's the top matchup that I will want to be keeping my eye on. Australia taking on Spain. It doesn't mean anything for Australia. It means everything for that Spanish side. Brazil then taking on Singapore, who are currently in the 4th place that Spain desperately want, and then Turkey take on Portugal, whose hopes have already been dashed and they won't be taking part in tomorrow. Then again in Group D, there's one massive, massive fixture, and it is India-Peru, isn't it, for that 4th spot. South Africa, unfortunately, we say goodbye to them. They're taking on table toppers Israel, and Sweden take on Germany. India-Peru. You didn't know much about Peru, Aggie, before we came into this. We now know about them, but we also know a lot more about India, and they really can go up against the big, big teams when it matters.
And it would be a huge statement for them to go through. Game on, let's see what's going to happen. It's 2 teams who can only surprise us, I think, if they go through. So it will be a big achievement for both of them. To get to the last 16, and after that I feel like there would be no pressure on them.
I look at both these teams being kind of hot and cold. We've seen moments from both of them that have been fantastic, and then they've had some lacking of consistency, and that's kind of why they're in this position, but they have a chance to go through. It's all in your hands, which you rarely get. I don't know the situation on a draw. If
It was
anybody has,
but it was 1-1 yesterday, Mike.
that.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Could come down to goal difference.
But the goal difference goes for their head-to-head goal difference to start,
which was 1-1.
But it's the same exactly. So what's the next indicator?
Well, for Group C, it's Singapore versus Brazil. If you're a Spanish fan, you want a Brazil victory. If Singapore pick up points, pick up a win, it's too big of a mountain for you to overturn. There was an early goal, and it fell to the Brazilians. They go 1-0 up against Singapore, meaning that Spain have a chance. If this result stays as it is, Spain, a win puts them through.
Dream of a beginning if you're rooting for Spain. It's got to be said, remember, Spain started today with 1 point.
How's that dream starts to get off, Mike? It's not great for Spain. Brazil and Singapore, it was a 1-0 lead for Brazil. However, it didn't last long. Brandon Smith.
No, well, let's see the goal now if we can. Brazil, as you said, 5 minutes in, they went 1 goal to the good. We heard a massive roar because Singapore, it's in their hands as well. Knockout FIFA. Chip ball over the top, finds the feet of team of the year, Ronaldinho, slot that one away happily. That wasn't the only goal that was scored. Group D, there is still another nation to find in a top 4 place. They were grouped last year in Copenhagen. India lead Peru by 1-0. And we join the game live now.
This is the one I want to just stay on. I want to watch this one out. I know we can't sit here for the entire 90 minutes, but India at the moment in the perfect position. And they have, I'm going to say they have so much confidence after that Israel matchup as well. The fact that they said they had a different approach. They didn't tell Spencer what that was, and Spencer hasn't since gone and spoke to them and said, what's that approach? Whatever it was, it worked, didn't it?
Absolutely, whatever they did, they just tightened up at the back, didn't they? I think for India, this is so much more for them as well. They weren't able to compete probably about 2 years ago in an individual 1v1 FGS scenario. Now they're involved in the Nations, their second time in this tournament, back-to-back. It might not be a happy ending, though. Peru find themselves back into the tie, 1-1 all square. DMS 10 and Magic making the magic happen.
This is going all the way. It's going to be maybe an 85th minute winner. I can see it, I can sense it, I can feel it as South Africa just leave it too little too late, turning on the class. Maybe they'll get some enjoyment out of being one of the only teams to beat Israel, potentially. However, right now, Israel, you would think that they'll find a goal at some point during this game. That's just what they seem to do. They seem to get goals at any given time. Australia versus Spain. This is where my attention is going to be in Group C. If Spain win and Singapore lose, then they're both on the same points. We'll get into the logistics of it as Spain are winning.
And what a filthy setup. You see, again, the resurface, a little bit of a celebration there, some comfort, some confidence. You can see some of the details with the box work prior to this as well, that they just had a certain level of comfort. I love it outside the box shot. You got the finesse, time green, but a lot of it's about the setup. It's creative how they're able to bring that together. As you see a bit of a rebound here, falls for Israel. As you called it, you said they'd be on the board at some point. Took 20 minutes.
And also these margins you want sitting in Spain's position. You want to go for that finesse shot. You want to see that shot getting the right angle.
What's the opposite of yesterday? Yesterday we talked about time and time again where they didn't go for it, they didn't push bodies forward, they didn't take risks, they didn't take long shots, they didn't generate offensively. And whatever team talk, the practice they put in, we said they were grinding for 6 or 7 hours, they put in the overtime. It's made all the difference.
Well, we're talking about how big a moment this was for India. They went 1-up, didn't they, early on in their matchup.
Peru finding the way back in their first ever Nations Cup final. 12 minutes in, they drew 1-1 when they played yesterday. So in terms of head-to-head, it's a completely open matchup, this one.
Quick question for you, August and Mike. You've been in this situation before. When you're looking at other games and you need other results to maybe go your way, is there that thought of 70 minutes in, just take all 3 pauses, wait for their game to finish first, so then you know what you've got to beat or what scoreline you've got to match. So it could come down to goal difference or potentially a late attack to try and get a winning goal, to try and get a draw or salvage all 3 points.
As someone who spent a lot of time competing, I've got to be completely focused on the game at hand. I can't worry about what's happening around me. I can control what's in front of me. And the only change in that type of scenario is if it's late and I have to push a bunch of bodies, or there's something happening in another game that makes it where maybe I don't have to push for the win, but don't tell me early on. I don't want a notification while I'm in the mix. I'm dialed, I'm focused, I'm locked in. And we know a lot can change in FIFA and it can happen relatively quickly.
Well said, Mike.
For example, with this Australia and Spain game, say Brazil then get a goal, you're in a completely different situation there. You're sort of defending for your lives against Australia.
Obviously, you want to get that info if it's super relevant. If it's a matter if you go out or you go through, you got to know it.
Well, this is still simple. If Spain doesn't win, they don't go through. There's no other scenario. So at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens. You still got to win the game. You're still going to play like you have to win the game. You got to see it out. It doesn't matter if it comes down to the 3, 4, 5 goal spread. It's just a matter of getting the 3 points, solidifying your position, hoping other people help you out a little bit, and then making some handshakes. Maybe giving out some hugs.
Didn't we wish we'd have seen this South Africa earlier on in the competition?
Yesterday as well would have helped, wouldn't it? But I think one thing that South Africa are trying to play for is to end the unbeaten streak of Israel. We know that they're still going to be storming through to the knockouts. We'll leave this game as it is in half-time. This one means so much more. Whoever wins is on their way to the knockout stages. It will be a first for either team to make it this far in the E-Nations with a top 16 run. All the other matches currently in a pause as it stands. India looking to build up one of the final chances of this first half. Able to break away past DMS10 and Magic. Germany against Sweden. Germany still in front, 1-0. Both those two, as we know, already through to the knockouts. And Brazil versus Singapore just kicked off for the second half. That one is 1-1-2. If Singapore are able to get into a winning position, they'll definitely be taking that 4th spot, and Spain will not be able to be in the top 4.
Singapore win, Singapore go through with the 2-point advantage they have over Spain. For Brazil, there's not too much. I think if they win this game, they go to 23 points, matching Argentina's record as well. So I'm sure that will be nice. There's a little bit of rivalry between the two South American countries. As Brazil come forward there, good block by Singapore. For Singapore, a draw puts them on 11. A Spain win puts Spain on 11. And to my workings out, Spain will go through on head-to-head goal difference with a 3-1 victory compared to Singapore's 1-0 victory. That will be a +1 goal difference for the Spaniards.
Aggie, how difficult is it if you're Portugal now as well and you've just got eliminated and you've got to play again? I know it's difficult and we've seen that earlier, but the Portuguese side that showed so much promise, they're currently being held to 0-0 with Turkey. Tough for them to go and play again.
Yeah, as a player, it feels like just a game that has to be played.
Do you care?
To be honest, not really. You're playing for a bit of a pride. I think that the national team element gives you something extra to play for. But when you just got knocked out, and especially for a case like Portugal, where you were one of the dark horses at this competition, the game doesn't mean much to you. But you still don't want to go out losing big.
It's these two matches here, isn't it, Rich? Australia, Spain, still leading. Spain are the Australians, and Singapore and Brazil still 1-1.
Spain fail to win, they're eliminated. If Singapore lose, they're eliminated. The Spain game has more impact if Australia score. If Australia score, no matter what happens, Singapore could lose 6-0 and they still go through, given the 2-point cushion they already have. However, that's looking incredibly unlikely as Spain go 2-0 up. With that second goal, all the attention now turns to Brazil and Singapore. Spain are going to be on 11 points. The question is, how many points will Singapore be on? If Brazil gets a goal and go in front, they go through no matter what on the points difference as they approach the goal. Looking for a cutback. There it is. Brazil Cleared off the line.
Mike says he doesn't want to know the result at the moment. I feel like if Singapore did know, Mike,
It's
it
still
might
early.
give them a little bit of an edge.
They know if they want to see out this game, guaranteed, don't have to wait on any other results, but you have to win the game. If you don't want to have to do the maybe, coulda, woulda, shoulda, I think I just added some words into that mix-up, but you get the result, you get the win. Now, maybe 10 minutes at the end, you get the last 10 saying you got to push all your bodies forward, but I wouldn't want to know too early. I don't need multiple things in my thought pattern, my thought process.
See Turkey leading here against Portugal. Brandon, in Group D, how we're looking with India and Peru. Still 1-1?
Yeah, so India-Peru, they drew yesterday 1-1. So if it stays in this current climate of 1-1 with goal difference, it would be Peru that would go through with a top 4. They're on -7 goal difference compared to India on -9. Obviously, we moved past the head-to-head because they both drew in yesterday's 1-1. So basically, India desperate for a win! Oh! Perfect time to join. That goal would now, of course, put India into the top 4 with it all to do for Peru in the last 30 in-game minutes. They were grouped last year in Copenhagen, India. Are they about to make it to the knockout stages?
They were sitting bottom of the pile, weren't they, last year as well? And we said, oh, if they could just get off that and finish in 5th there, if they could finish in 4th and play a 3rd day of competition, well, they've already made history, haven't they, by getting to the 2nd day if they were to do just that. As we stick with this one, Singapore have to win.
Must-win game for Singapore. Not long left to go. Now are you asking for information, Mike? Now are you looking around to the coach and going, how's Spain getting on?
Yes.
Look at the final 15 minutes, because you got to throw it forward. In a normal circumstance, you wouldn't bring on the constant pressure.
The draw just doesn't help Singapore whatsoever. We did get a goal back here for Portugal, play for Pride, up against Turkey. That is now 1-1. Let's head back to our featured matchup between Brazil and Singapore, because there has been a goal. Which way has it gone?
I can't believe
it's
it.
It's monumental.
I can't believe it. Brazil's been untouchable today. They've been doing the business versus everyone. Singapore knows what's at hand. You see him attacking that end line, little ball roll, trying to find the pass, finds the pass. Good footwork from Ronaldinho, near post. And they're up 2-1.
Where's the keeper?
It was early goalkeeper movement.
Maybe Brazil just don't like Spain. Maybe they want to send them home. Maybe there's tactics coming into play.
You
here.
said that, not me.
I did say it.
Controversy on the couch.
Are going in over in Group D as well.
India, Peru.
India, Peru, get us there when we can. There's been another goal in the game. I mean, one thing that we can say about Brazil, they do love a late goal. They've scored lots of late goals. If they get one, it could be the difference of Spain going through. India were 2, and I remember India are on their way through. Not anymore. Peru have just scored. And on goal difference, Peru would be going through if that stays as a 2-2 scoreline.
Wow, these fixtures are completely switching up, aren't they, from what we saw yesterday when they took each other on for the first time here at the Nations Cup. Whoa, India have to get back in this fast, don't they? A win is what they need. A draw is not good enough.
Just seen a goal flash into the back of the net between Australia and Spain. Doesn't change too much in terms of the points, however, it maybe just gets a little bit nervy for Spain. It was Australia who did score. It's not the end of the world, however, it is quite a nervy last, 12 minutes here for the Spaniards. They have to hold on to the game to give themselves a chance.
And you asked what I would do, Rich, in some of these circumstances. Instead of maybe shifting my style, I would issue a couple pauses. We're just going to let games kind of unfold while I'm at the pause screen. So then I know if I can park the bus. I know if I can draw this enough. I know if I need that win and I have to push forward. It might be a little bit in the gray area. You're gamifying to a certain degree. It might not be looked at with a bunch of positivity, but it's a professional move.
Well, this game is 83 minutes. It's going to end probably in the next minute and a half. The Brazil versus Singapore game is only 76 minutes, so we are going to have a full time between Brazil and Spain. without Spain knowing if they're going to go through, because Brazil have got everything to play for. Let's head back over there. There's a free kick just on the edge of the box for Brazil as they're looking to build up here.
And you're right, Rich, it's going to end perfectly well. Spain, 88th minute they are in it as it stands. As you said, they lead 2-1. They'll be looking at the big screen and just praying that Brazil can claw a goal back, or are Singapore going to go and find a third? In the India against Peru game, pause has been cued. There's 73 minutes on the clock there, waiting for a full time in this one. Spain have done the job today. However, is it enough? Added time of 1 minute. Do not concede now.
Oh,
Australia, one last chance. The ball bounces back so kindly. Australia, as we know, already through the top 4 finish in this group. Will they be looking to break Spanish hearts now? Edge of the box, defend it well, get the ball clear, will Spain. Now they'll just sit and wait and watch.
Get Spencer
We
in
have
there
got
with a microphone.
pause in the Brazil games. Let's go to India against Peru. India must win. A draw is enough for Peru to be in the top 4. India have a chance now to break forward. Couple of step overs. There's the finish! Is that the goal to send them into the round of 16?
How wonderful a moment to capture that as well. The Indian duo there just jumped up like it was their final. You can see how much it means to them, Mike.
It's unbelievable stuff. This is what FIFA esports is all about. I also look at the Brazil-Singapore game. Singapore picked up a red card.
Yeah.
They're still leading, but everything's happening.
Down to 10 men. They're holding on. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to get into the knockouts of the FIFAe Nations Cup. Brazil give the ball away.
Run that sideline, run it.
10 players on the pitch. This is written in the stars. Potentially. Free kick to Singapore. It's all falling their way.
The entire Spanish team are just watching the big screen.
This is Sunday league action here on the pitch.
Spanish trio of Zidane, Ning and Andoni just staring up at the big screen here.
Don't know if they're going to get a chance, Brazil.
Got to win the ball back now.
This is
Brazil,
it.
this is it. Can they do enough or not? Singapore, it's in your hands. Keep hold of that ball with everything you've got, and you're in the round of 16. It's falling their way.
Which would be absolutely incredible. Both Portugal and Spain getting grouped.
It may be the most unlikely of all the matchups. With what Brazil's shown today, you would have bet, if you were a betting man, plenty on them getting this result. The form has shown that they've been there.
Spain come into this thinking, yeah, Brazil's going to do us a favour. All we need to do is win.
Yeah.
2 minutes of added time.
I can't believe it.
Played short. Brazil, can you win it back?
It's not enough clock. There's not enough clock.
Not now.
No. Got to be game over. Oh, goal kick. I mean, it's not going to happen, is it? 30 seconds, that ball's got to pass the halfway line. I don't think it's going to happen. Full-time result. Singapore in the top 4. Spain, Portugal eliminated here in the group stages. Let's jump over to India against Peru. It's the last game to conclude. Are India about to make history, or are Peru about to get an equaliser?
You can't write this up.
Peru move back into the top 4.
What are we watching, Brandon? What's going on at the second portion of day 2? Early on, Group A, Group B, by the book. As straight edge as you could imagine.
2 different occasions, that is, for India, that have been in the winning position. They just cannot hold on to the leads.
There's only about 4 minutes left as well, Brandon. They were so close across the line. Is there another chance in this last match, which is still underway?
They're going to get kick-off, and they're going to have one last, I don't know how long was left in the game, minutes.
I think it was about 85, 86 minutes.
Just a quick one, Richard. The latest news on that
Incredible.
group. Singapore, top 16 guaranteed.
What a performance. They were the side in this group that no one predicted going through. They have done it. They are in to the FIFAe Nations Cup knockouts. We have got one spot remaining. It's India and Peru.
And the team from Singapore are just going straight over to that Spanish pod as well and just saying, you know, commiserations. But yeah, there was 2 teams there, weren't there, for one spot. And it is the team from Singapore just heading back to their squad. You can see Spain have just been to visit them behind them.
You couldn't predict this.
Fair play.
Every twist and turn.
5 minutes. India, Peru. There's 5 minutes in that game. India score, win the game. They are through.
There's people screwed all over the stage. No one knows what's happening. It's incredible scenes here.
India, show us what you've got. Show us.
Oh, let's give it away.
Some magic. Terrible pass that. If he gets his possessed, they give away a silly free kick. Game management now for Peru. They were grouped last year in Copenhagen.
Nothing silly here.
Hold on to the ball with everything you've got. India, 3 or 4 brand new subs on the pitch, just trying to freshen up if they can even get the ball back. That is very risky!
Oh, it's a corner!
I thought that was an own goal. But with a corner. India.
Not like this.
What can we see? 89 minutes on the clock, added time to follow India. With a nation backing them to get to a knockout stage after a group exit heartbreak last year in Copenhagen. Edge of the box. Show us something from here. Whips it in deep towards the box. He's floating in the air. Where's the ball going to bounce? It nearly did. Peru, do not do what you just did there.
Yes, set it deep. Get it out of here.
And there you have it, full time. It's heartbreak again for India. Peru are in the round of 16.
By the smallest of tiebreakers.
Everyone just catch your breath because we have a moment. This was a massive final round of fixtures, wasn't it, that we were just absolutely treated to. And Spencer is with a team from Singapore who do continue the run into tomorrow, Spen.
Yes, they do indeed. They're absolutely buzzing. Guys, congratulations. You're into the knockouts.
It feels amazing. I have no words to describe. It's just, the adrenaline. My head's gone and can't have a better teammate.
Have you got anything to say to people watching at home from Singapore?
Thank you so much for supporting, and we will continue to do Singapore proud, and hopefully we can progress further than the round of 16.
What's the target now? You've out the groups. What's next?
One game at a time.
One game at a time. Well, great season. It was lovely seeing you guys celebrate. Congratulations. You've done very well indeed. Singapore are through to tomorrow. We'll see them again. Another team we're going to see tomorrow is Peru, as we saw in those last minute scenes against India. Absolutely crazy game. And I'm going to make my way over to the Peruvian booth now, because I'm sure they're just as delighted as Singapore are. Here we are then. Guys, you done it. What a game that was.
Oh, I can barely talk. So emotional game. Yeah, we done it. I told you that we have that mentality of winning, and now we're in knockout. This is another part.
You really did have to ride a roller coaster of emotions in that game, because India did so well, didn't they? They kept getting in the lead, which would have meant you would have gone out. It literally was almost like a knockout game, except you only had to draw it. But character was shown from you guys to get back into the game, even with that moment at the end. When they passed it off for a corner, what were you thinking?
Oh, no. I don't know what to say right now. My mind is not working. But, yeah, they show really good character. I was there just for helping. This is for them. This is not for me.
Have you got a word for people at home in Peru watching?
Yeah, I know they're really happy for us. Our family, our friends, and the whole community is really happy for us, I'm sure.
And what's the target now into the knockouts?
I told you, winning.
Winning the whole thing. It could happen. Listen, they've done so well for getting through, but Peru, Singapore, and everyone else that's made it through, well done. I'm going to hand over to Alex, who's got something for us at the telestrator.
Yeah, thank you very much, Spencer. And you heard it there from Peru. Their aim is to go ahead and win this tournament. Let's talk to you exactly about how they did that magical comeback against India to see themselves through into the knockout stages. It all comes to start off with about that change of tempo. That's 2 goals that we're going to see from Peru that made that difference. João Felix, just that little bit of time, and then the ball into De Bruyne. They're trying to work their way into the 18-yard box. If you're slow and you're a little bit too hesitant to maybe look to be quick, it's all about those fine moments. They go and be quick and they be direct. Ball comes into Van Dijk, and then that first time pass to just catch India out. The gap is very, very slight. There's no hesitation, it's direct, it's quick, and then it's about, can R9 deliver? We know in the area that is one of the best positions for that man to receive the ball. Then, India, we know, they had that comeback. They were there, they were wanting to go through themselves. They were looking good. If India win this game, they were the ones that would be advancing and Peru would have been out. However, Van Dijk looks to clear the ball, an error from India. They tried to go for a little dink ball into Henry, and what does that mean? Van Dijk can put that pressure on, he can make it difficult, and then Peru ultimately get that ball. Same again, the direct pass, they're being quick. They want to penetrate into that 18-yard box. When you move that ball quickly with no hesitation, it gives your opponent absolutely no chance to receive that. Just to watch that again, look how quick and direct it is. Virgil van Dijk receives that ball. Let's turn, let's get it into the middle. First time pass, and one touch, then pass, and then Henry, so many times he has picked the ball up in those areas and found the back of the net. And for Peru, it's a massive moment to them. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to seeing them into the knockouts, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks so much there, Alex. Well, Peru, they set up a lovely tie, don't they, with Morocco. And I was just having a look at who Singapore get treated to. It's Argentina. It's pretty tough, but still, they go through to the third day here at the FIFAe Nations Cup. Well, final standings then after 10 rounds. Brazil, Turkey, Australia, and in dramatic fashion, Singapore go through. Can't believe we're saying goodbye to Spain and Portugal. And then in Group D, Israel, Germany, Sweden, and Peru. Heartbreak for India, who just lost out in the dying moments of that game. And we also say goodbye to South Africa there. Story of today, guys. Spain and Portugal started the day in those two positions, 5th and 6th, and they end it there and they go out, Aggie.
Yeah, I mean, Spain will be very disappointed because they actually showed up today and did very good, and they did enough today, but it just goes to show that you can't have an off day like they had yesterday. You're going to get punished.
And as well, they had to wait in the end for another team to wait to see if they're going to go through. You can't wait to see other teams' results, can you, Mike?
And I even look at this as potentially a passing of the torch type of moment. We've seen some of these household names. We look at Andoni, we look at Tuga, we look at that partnership on the E Club, now that partnership with Spain and Portugal. They didn't get the results. Plain and simple, they didn't get the results. It's back-to-back for Tuga here. It's back-to-back for Andoni as well. Do you have major changes going into next year? I think you have to start to ask those questions.
I think for Spain, there is a lot of conversations needed. They came in without really a coach, came in what seemed to be without a lot of structure. I think it's also quite confusing because there is incredible FIFA coaches in Spain, Javi, Edu. I'm sure if the conversation was there, maybe they could have been here, maybe they could have been coaching. I'm shocked because the quality is so good that La Liga is the pinnacle of the domestic leagues in FIFA esports, and yet Spain never seem to perform at these FIFAe Nations Cups.
There's just something not right in that Spanish camp. I don't know what it is from top to bottom in terms of the FIFA esports team. Like, as Rich said, like, there's brilliant players out there, brilliant coaches. Obviously, these are brilliant players. I just don't know why it didn't work or it didn't gel.
Well, we do say goodbye to them. A massive moment then here today. We didn't see that much drama earlier on. We were treated to a lot, weren't we, today? Well, we now approach, don't we, tomorrow, our knockout stages. The rules change a little bit. It's now knockout FIFA at its finest. There's no draws now, guys. If there's a draw, after 90 minutes, we go extra time and then penalties, don't we? So it's 2 legs as well. I know the team here say a lot of the players want 2 legs. Obviously, it was only 1 leg today. Aggregate score, of course. And we have some 5 in-game subs and then 1 team subs, as we've been seeing during the game as well. Well, that's it then for the group stages here at the FIFAe Nations Cup 2023. We've seen some giant killings. Spain and Portugal, they're out of here. Well, Mark from Australia, he still hasn't been grouped in a major tournament. That's his words as well. We see him tomorrow. And then massive teams in form with the likes of Germany, Israel and Brazil all coming out on top there. Well, can they continue their great run of form? We get to find out tomorrow when the tournament really starts to heat up, when we get to experience Knockout FIFA at its finest. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Good night.